Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Inglewood Cliffs Mayor and Council. Today is April 10th, 2024. It's time at 6:38. I have to call this meeting to order, and let's have a flag salute all together, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Laura, could you have a roll call, please?
Mayor Park,
Yes.
Member Kim,
Here.
Member Simon, Member Luciano, Member Di Gregorio,
Present.
Member Bigatz, Member Liang.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Also, could you read the open public meeting statement, please?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, and place and purpose of this public meeting through a legal notice published in the record, posted on the borough website and on the bulletin board.
Thank you. And the next agenda is department report.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a motion to change the order of the agenda and go immediately into closed session?
Okay.
I second.
Okay, second.
Is this
Can-
in regard to
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Maybe I think yes.
Do you want to say something?
Do we have second?
Yeah. Let it.
Okay, yeah, we got a second.
In the budget. Okay, here the CFO, the issue here. So why don't you do that? The budget introduction first. Then we can go to the closed session. Okay.
Okay.
Everything okay?
Okay.
Everybody? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna
Do
do
you
the.
want to do a motion for the introduction of the budget?
Yes.
And then I do the presentation, or do you want me to do the
Yes.
presentation first and then you do the introduction?
Why don't you do that introduction first?
Do you have to share your screen? No? Okay.
So good evening, everybody. The budget. Good evening, everybody, Mayor and Council, members of the public. The budget that is due for introduction tonight is a result of several meetings with the department heads, with the two administrators that you had at the time, along with input from me in terms of personnel and salaries costs, statutory items like health benefits, debt service, pension, making sure that your operating expenses as recommended by the administrators are in check based on your last 2 years of operating expense data. So that presentation was made to the mayors and council at the last Wednesday's budget meeting. Packets were circulated summarizing revenues and appropriations and an overall summary of the budget that highlights the major increases and decreases both in revenues and appropriations. And of course, the most important element, which is the tax levy and your rateable base. I will go over all those items again for the benefit of the public. Your total budget this year is $21,414,600, which is basically flat compared to last year, only represents a decrease of $724. Last year, your budget was $21,415,324. This year is $21,414,600. Your tax levy, which is basically the amount that you are raising from property taxes, is flat. It was $16,336,880, and it's the same amount this year. A point to be noted is last year, this amount was reduced by $500,000. So in essence, it represents a decrease over a 2-year period, a significant decrease. Your rateable base, which is basically the value of all the properties in town, which goes up slightly each year, again went up this year from $3,542,000,000 to almost $3,559,000,000. That represents an increase of $15 million or 0.45%. And what that allows is, even though you're keeping the tax levy flat, you are still able to pass a small tax decrease to an average residential taxpayer. Your average property in the borough of Englewood Cliffs residential is $1,347,000. Last year, that property paid in municipal taxes $6,000 $212. This year, based on this budget, they're expected to pay $6,184. That's a reduction of approximately $27.53 while keeping the tax levy flat. Again, primarily because your rateable base is increasing each year. On the commercial basis, last year I was requested to have that number for comparison as well. So your average assessment on a commercial property is about $7.3 million. So that property owner last year paid about $34,000 in taxes. This year they're expected to pay $33,861. That's a reduction of about $150. I'll go on to the major revenues and appropriations and which items took a hit in terms of increases and decreases. In appropriation, your overall salaries and wages, that's police, DPW, your non-uniform, that's an increase of $226,000. Your pension contribution actually down this year, that's your state contribution to the state. For your PERS and public police and fireman retirement system, that's a reduction of about $24,000. Your health benefits, based on the actual cost and the contribution from the employees, you were able to lower that amount by $100,000. Your operating expenses throughout all the departments represents an increase of $67,000. Your library contribution, which is based on a contract that you signed last year, represents an increase of $30,000. The sewer charges, which is payable to the Bergen County Utilities Authority, represents an increase of about $121,000. Joint insurance fund, which we are part of, represents an increase of $63,000. Garbage and trash collection was budgeted on the higher end in the prior year, so we looked at that line item and we were able to reduce that by $85,000. Your debt service and deferred charges goes down by approximately $300,000. Capital improvement fund, which serves as down payment for your infrastructure projects, is kept flat. It went from basically $298,000 to $300,000, small increase of $2,000. On the revenue side, we are using a little bit more in surplus. Last year we used $2.3 million. This year we are using $2,450,000, a small increase, but your surplus this year alone, you were able to generate close to $4 million. So you have a healthy surplus, so it doesn't, it makes sense to use a little bit more of it to balance the budget. Your state aid, last year the state had a new line item which does not repeat itself, so that represents a reduction of about $32,000. Your local revenues, which we anticipate on a conservative basis, which represents your construction code fees, your fees and permits, interest on investments, licenses, we are anticipating it conservatively, and that represents a decrease of $103,000. Delinquent taxes, which is basically the amount of taxes that you collect from property owners who were delinquent at the end of last year, is down by $14,000, but that's a good thing because that means you have lower delinquent balances at the end of the year. It was about $305,000 at the end of the year 2023. The tax levy remains flat, so overall your revenues and budgets were down by $724, keeping your budget merely flat. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Has the auditor taken a look at this budget?
The auditor has taken a look at the preliminary worksheets that I sent to you, the mayor and council and the auditor. He responded with his comments. I've taken his comments into consideration when formulating the introduced budget.
When did you speak to him, Shalay?
I did not speak to him, we exchanged emails.
Okay. And what was his opinion? Because he's the one that ultimately signs off on this.
The auditor's involvement in the budget process is not that detailed. I mean, we send it to him, historically, we have sent it to him. He offers his opinion, we take his opinion into consideration. Some of his opinions I may not agree with, but at the end of the day, his responsibility as an auditor is to audit the financial statements, not to prepare or help us prepare the budget. We send it to him for his review, he does sign off on it, and he basically takes the same position as the state would when after introduction, we will send it to the state, we'll send it to the auditor for his review as well. So,
Another question.
yes,
Did he sign off on last year's budget?
he signed off on last year's budget, yes.
Yeah, okay.
What, you said he had comments, what comments did the auditor make that you didn't agree with, that kept in the budget?
Well, there were basically two primary comments. One of the items was, his question was why the debt service was going down. And if you remember, last year, we were planning a bond sale, so we had increased the debt service basically to cover for it, so that's why that reduction was there. I did look at the debt service line items again, and that's why if you look at the detail, the worksheet that I circulated between last Wednesday and this Wednesday, there's a difference of $35,000 in debt service. So yes, I took that, his suggestion to look at the debt service again. I looked at it. I made sure that I have all the items covered. And another point that he had made was regarding the new line item in the state aid. It's called Municipal Relief Fund, which basically the state had started doing in 2022, but they announced that state aid after most towns had adopted their budget, just like Cliffs did. So that aid money, which was like $35,000, went into reserve for aid, which was then anticipated in 2023. But in 2023, we got that aid again, so we realized more than what we anticipated. So that was his question, was why are we not anticipating that reserve from last year, which we already are?
And he didn't make any comment about the potential legal exposure of
Yes,
66 million?
yes.
Oh,
So,
he did?
yes, yeah, he did. So he basically, he threw a number, which we discussed it at last Wednesday's meeting. I do not have a judgment in front of me that will be the basis for me to, budget anything, if anything. And I raised that concern to the mayor and council, and I told them that, listen, you could budget $1 million, or you could budget, $5 million. It's not gonna make a dent on what the exposure is, and something of that nature is not gonna be able to be absorbed by a $21 million operating budget. So even if you threw $2 million in this appropriation, you're still gonna be out a big chunk of money when that judgment or settlement comes through. And right now, from what I understand, nothing is on paper. And I don't wanna, discuss details of litigation, but that's why I'm talking in broad terms. That number could be here, that number could be here. So whatever you put in the budget, yes, it will be a good, basis for whenever you start, but it's not really going to solve your problem when that happens. And something of that nature, you will be going to the local finance board for seeking relief in terms of whether you raise it over 5 years, 10 years, or whatever the number might be. Because from what I understand, the number is huge.
Oh, it is huge, and my
Yes.
question really is that, so it's your professional opinion that even though we have an order that says we're in violation, and that we've been found that we violated the settlement agreement, so we know there's gonna be a penalty. Whether it's 8 million, whether it's 10 million, whether it's 66 million, your professional opinion is that we shouldn't start to prepare now, because if we put in $1 million and it's 10 million, we have 10% already in our budget. We don't have to go to the state, right? So it's your professional opinion that even though we have an order that says we've been found guilty, now we're in a penalty phase. We know a number, it's somewhere between 0 and 66, okay, million. And your professional opinion is, like I seen in the video, that Councilman Di Gregorio stopped the mayor from questioning about this. So I just wanna know from your professional opinion, it's better to put nothing in the budget right now and prepare for a potential penalty and then
Have a
wait
cushion.
and go to.
Have a cushion.
You finished?
Yeah, I have another question.
No, on this matter. So basically, you have a healthy surplus. So if the mayor and council decides that, they wanna put $1 million or $2 million, we can, but is it gonna solve that problem? No, it will bring you maybe 10% closer to it. But at the end of the day, you're looking at an operating budget that runs your borough. The exposure that you're talking about, that cannot be funded through your operating budget. Last year, I made a recommendation that we should start reserving for tax appeals, which is something that we can handle, and we started appropriating $700,000 each year. Last year's budget had it, this year's budget has it. So now going forward, you are prepared for it. But tax appeal is something that you can handle by budgeting $700,000 or $1 million each year. But the number that you just threw, $66 million, are you gonna be putting $2 million for the next 33 years?
My basic question is, do you not think it's better for us to start to plan for a potential penalty regardless of what it is? We know we're going to have a penalty. We know it. We've already been found guilty. So I hear what you're saying, that, you know what, we're hopefully gonna be able to go to the state and say, we'll spread this out over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I don't know what the state's gonna come back and say. But, I'm just, you know, because from my discussion with the auditor is that he's astounded that we're not making any provisions in this budget for a potential penalty. The second question, you mentioned tax appeals. You said, so we have $1.4 million in reserve for tax appeals?
Minus whatever we paid out in this past year.
We paid out $1.4 million.
No, we didn't pay out the full amount, I said minus whatever we paid out this past year.
How much
How
have
much
we
did we
paid
pay
out?
We paid out, I think, 35,000, and we also had a balance of 200,000 and change from prior years. And then we are just getting ready to pay 316,000 on one of the properties, a resolution up on the agenda.
And how many tax appeals do we have pending?
I do not know that, I'll have to check with the tax assessor.
Sorry, but isn't that something that we as a governing body should kind of anticipate, that if we have some significant commercial properties, we have significant amounts of residential properties that have outstanding tax appeals? Is $1.4 million less the 400 that we paid out, or whatever the number was, is that really adequate for, tax appeals that could be pending? I mean, we have some commercial properties that could be in the millions of dollars.
That's what
And
we
it
were
could
told
go-
last
And
year.
it could go back all the way to 2018. So, I mean, I think that these are issues, I mean, first off, I mean, yes, okay, I mean, it was kind of made to me obvious, I missed the meeting, the last budget meeting that you had, but I listened to the tape, but other than that, we didn't have any discussions. The council barely had any discussions. The biggest discussion that the mayor tried to raise was cut off by Councilman Di Gregorio on the $66 million. And when I called the order, I guess it's just astounding to me, but and my next question is
There's some things, excuse me, there's some things that are
I
best
have
not
one
discussed.
excuse me.
Yeah, well, I just
We
need to
have-
get that
we
in.
also have, I contacted the state and the auditor, and it's my understanding, do we have an annual financial statement filed?
Okay,
Not yet, so my question would be, how do we know what our starting basis is on any of the balance without an annual financial statement? How did you prepare a budget without having an annual financial statement filed? And what's the date that the financial statement is supposed to be filed with the state?
March 8th.
January 31st, right? Is that correct?
March 8th was extended.
March now, okay, so now it's April, but we don't have one on file, so how do we know the balances are truly accurate? And we're introducing a budget. It's mind-boggling to me, and this is also mind-boggling to our auditor.
So if I can answer that,
You can answer, I mean, I don't know what there's to answer.
so
I'm
the
making a
annual
statement.
financial statement is a document. It takes information from the town's financial system. So just because we don't have the annual financial statement readily available in its documented format, doesn't mean that I don't have access to the information. Last year, if you remember, our annual financial statement was significantly delayed, which led to the delay in the budget process. So we didn't want to do the same process again by not having the budget process started just because we don't have the annual financial statement document.
So last year, we held the budget because we didn't have an annual financial statement.
Right.
But this year, we're gonna go out without an annual financial statement.
But-
Because we wanna have the budget introduced that shows no increase, which would come back to kick us in the rear end, just because we wanna have it introduced. Even though last year we held it up, and it was held up, we didn't approve the budget last year because of the antics that were going on, until the state came back and told us they're gonna fine us individually to vote for the budget.
Right.
We were told personally, we were gonna be fine. Now why this year all of a sudden, you know what? That we're going to we're gonna introduce a budget that the auditor has questions on. We have significant exposures that I haven't had one discussion with my council colleagues here. And you could say, yes, I missed one meeting, which was a meeting that we were told about on a Friday for a Wednesday, and some of us work. Okay, so, and I'll have other obligations with 4 days away. But I think it's irresponsible. That's where we can pat ourselves on the back and say, woo, we introduced the budget on time and no increase. Where we potentially have just on one issue that we already found guilty on, $66 million. It makes me almost sick that we're going to introduce this budget without, as you've even made clear, and I don't mean it towards you, sir, don't take, it's not personal at all. I just think it's astounding that my colleagues here are willing to introduce a budget with not an annual financial statement, with no discussion with the auditor, and serious exposures that we're all well aware of, whether it's tax appeals, whether it's legal issues. How much do we have in there for potential legal? We have Oprah cases that are pending. Mr. Mensch gives us, usually every month, we have significant Oprah cases. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? I know we have surplus, and I heard in the statement the other day, it helps us with cash flow. That's not necessarily what it's supposed to be for. So to present a budget, an introduction on the budget with these things that we have exposures to, I'm not going to prove it, and I'm gonna make a motion to table it after everybody's done with questions, because I totally think it's irresponsible of every one of you that's going to, that even brought this to the agenda to vote on an introduction. That's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion adoption of the introduction of the budget?
Motion?
Okay, second, anyone? Second. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion
Yeah,
to table.
no,
No,
we don't.
we're already into
No,
it.
no, no.
No, you don't understand how it works, okay?
Okay,
But
let's,
you just, general discussion, so when, my turn, and then I'm gonna talk about, okay?
good, continue with the roll call, please.
No.
Table takes precedent, and we don't want
Okay.
to play these
Matt.
games, but if you want to overrule the motion to table in a
No.
second, then you're not
No, no.
following the rules of
Let's,
the law.
defer
and
to
we'll
the-
see about it in another court. I mean,
Matt,
that's
do you
another-
want-
Just take a vote on the motion to table, and then if it
That's all.
fails,
That's
then
all.
then we vote on
It's
the,
so easy.
table?
Being, you know,
yeah, so, yeah, Glenn's right.
Okay.
Motion to table.
So motion table, okay, table first, okay, roll call, please.
I second it.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
George,
Okay. Member Kim?
Stay.
Member Simon?
Yes to table.
Member Luciano?
yes, the table.
Member Di Gregorio?
No to table.
Member Begats?
No to table.
Member Liang?
No.
There you go, see how easy that is? You
Mayor,
have to go through
now,
all
Okay.
now you can call the
No,
roll on the
no.
motion.
Okay. roll call,
Motion to
please.
move the budget.
Yes,
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
No.
Member Luciano? Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
okay, thank you, and then we're gonna do,
Motion to
Session.
go into closed session.
okay.
No, motion to go into closed session.
Okay, let's go inside. How long does it, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and then maybe, Mr. Michael Yelchin, how long you are expecting? 20 minutes? Okay, we're gonna come back about 20 minutes later. Okay, thank you, let's go.
Is there a motion to go close?
Yeah.
Who seconded? Okay, just asking.
I was on the brief at about 3:30 last night and spent the afternoon in court. I'm feeling it tonight.
Yep.
Got your Diet Coke? You doing
I don't,
well?
I'm at Diet Coke. I didn't have time to stop. I was already
We have to get a
running
little fridge back here
I
with,
know.
Long meetings, one final.
late. This is, if you don't care if I'm sleeping in the days, I don't care. You know?
Okay, everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to come out closed session.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
aye?
Okay, and the next item is department head report. Oh, all gone?
I guess.
Oh,
There they are.
yeah, okay, come on in, department head. Come in, okay. Sorry about it, too much, yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
A couple noteworthy events in town since the last meeting. First, the storm on the 3rd. which fortunately went as well as it could. Unfortunately, it was not well forecasted, so I would have liked to have had some extra staffing here, but the officers that were here did a fantastic job. Lieutenant Romano, Sergeant Peterson, Officer O'Shea, Officer Craven, and Officer Ramsad. Also Superintendent Neville was a huge help that night, and I can't thank him enough for the work he did during the storm. The earthquake, 2 short days after that. Fortunately, there was no damage that I was aware of, and during the event, there was no threat to public safety. From a traffic perspective, the Palisade Avenue closure that we discussed at length last month, we may have slightly over-prepared, but better over-prepared than under-prepared. It actually finished ahead of schedule after only 3 or 4 days of construction. So, again, great job by Lieutenant Ford and Sergeant Salgianis on planning and preparation for that closure. A week ago, I met with a resident on Dillingham Avenue. She had some concerns about what she perceived as a speeding issue on her street. After the conversation, she was satisfied, and the good thing about those radar signs that we purchased late last year, they actually do data collection, and she couldn't believe that the average speed on her street is actually 24.9 miles an hour, a tenth of a mile an hour under the speed limit. So her perceived speeding issue is actually not an issue at all. So data speaks volume. So again, like I said, she was very satisfied with that meeting. From a community standpoint, this past weekend on the 6th, we were at Woody Field for the annual egg hunt and touch a truck event. We also conducted our signups for Woody Clinic. Again, I have to thank officers who participated on Saturday: Lieutenant Tremones, Officer Regan, Officer Jacob, Officer Rampersad. For any of you who are interested, the first day of the baseball clinic is the 13th, this coming Saturday. You're all welcome. It starts at 10 a.m. So if you want to come up and see what we do and say hello to the kids, we'll be there. And tomorrow, actually, we'll be hosting one of the kindergarten classes. They're going to be coming into headquarters to take a tour. So another community outreach event we're doing tomorrow. And finally, I just want to touch on an issue that I think is going to probably come to the floor tonight. I see somebody in the audience who is probably going to discuss another perceived issue at the intersection of Demarest and Floyd. There's some concern by this party that this is an unsafe intersection. Again, data speaks volumes. I did a little research in anticipation for this tonight. And let's see, in the last 8.5 years, there's been 12 accidents at this intersection. So, like I said, 8.5 years, 12 accidents. It's about 1.25 accidents a year. Unfortunately, motor vehicle crashes happen. Most of them are a product of human error. Unfortunately, sometimes people just don't obey stop signs or don't obey yield signs or red lights. And anyway, the DPW super and I have examined this intersection. I don't think there's anything structurally wrong with this intersection. And I'm sure this person will give you their opinion on this intersection later this evening. But I wanted to touch on that while I was here.
Can you repeat the intersection? I missed it.
Demarest and Floyd. Yes. Yes.
Good.
I have a family member that lives 2 houses away from that corner, and I do appreciate that. I've been a data guy kind of my whole life. I don't think that the data takes into consideration the near misses that have happened there. Because I just this last week, last Friday, had someone blast right through the stop sign, and if I didn't take evasive action, it would have been a serious accident. So I do agree that, you know what, I appreciate, I'm not trying to, you know, to dispute what you're saying. I mean, accidents happen, but I think that the data purely alone doesn't necessarily give the full,
My point is
Scope
that
of it.
there's nothing structurally
No,
wrong
no,
with the
I
intersection.
agree with you, you know what, and that's what we do, we say, you know what, hey, and that's what we're always told by JIF, you know what, if you're gonna build something, build it the way the plans are, so that you can say you built it to the plans, I don't mean that in a bad way. But I think that if we could get possibly the stop signs that flash, something, I've also recommended, you know, I see them going all over, especially south of Fort Lee and south. So I know you're not a fan of it, speed bumps, speed humps, difficult for the DPW, but once they know they're there, slow that traffic down. I think that I'm an advocate, I see it all over, I mean, I just see it in Fort Lee, I see the man in Fairfield, I see the man in Cliffside Park, I see the man in Powell Park. I know that there's an issue with them, but they put signs up, speed hump again, even have signs that look like the car's taking off in the air. But at the very least, better striping and one of those, they have the new stop sign that just flash, you know, boom, boom, boom. So that's
I'm
what
not,
I
I'm
think.
not opposed to the flashing stop signs, they are expensive. Mark would know the cost of them better than me, he does the signs in town. It's something that can be explored. The speed bumps, I don't endorse them, it would also slow our response times. The last thing we need is the slow response times getting to a heart attack call, because we need to slow down over speed bumps, just like everyone else, so I don't endorse them, but that's just from a public safety standpoint. And that's all I have this evening.
Mr. Mayor, may I just say
Yeah,
something?
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Calderon lives there.
I know that I sent you an email, that I had the unfortunate opportunity to have to attend the funeral of a volunteer fire department member in Edgewater. And two of your staff, Lieutenant Ramones, who coordinated the entire motorcade. And I don't know, is he a Sergeant Minetti? Or did I give him a?
Officer.
Oh, I gave him a
You gave him a
promotion.
promotion, nice.
They were exemplary and they deserve to be commended for the job that they did. It was absolutely, it was quite impressive. So thank you.
It's,
And please,
our motor unit is important, I think it's nice outreach for the department and for the borough to get our patch out there and our Englewood Cliffs brand
They-
out there and do good things.
yeah, they went through a number of different towns. It was all coordinated and it was done by the lieutenant. So please, once again,
Certainly.
I'll volunteer to help the motor officers.
Okay. Thank you, okay.
Mayor, may I have one quick question?
Okay, go ahead.
If it's okay. A resident recently brought this to my attention because she's been having issues with identity theft and she has perception that the mail is being stolen and she's telling me about other residents also making certain similar claims. Can you comment or maybe summarize like what may be going on in
Those
terms of?
investigations are handled by the postal police.
Okay,
And the postal inspector.
okay, yeah,
Anything having to do with mail in the mailbox is referred to that.
okay.
Yeah, we can maybe take an initial report, but as far as an investigation, that we don't touch the mail.
Oh, do the residents call the police department though when they have that initial
They can,
complaint?
and-
Okay,
And talk to our detectives and just make sure it's not gonna touch upon anything in Englewood Cliffs. If it's strictly mail though, we'll send them to the right place.
okay,
They can
thank
start
you.
with us though. We'll always, point them in the right direction.
Do you don't happen to keep like maybe a stat about how many calls of those type of are coming in?
No.
No? Okay, all right,
Not off the top of my head, I don't think we do that.
okay, thank you.
Chief, just to comment on Demarest and Floyd, I'll agree with Councilman Luciano. And I also, would not balk as if we had to vote on it at the expense. I think those flashing stop signs would be very effective there. I know another resident had an accident there. So anything that can be done, and I think the flashing signs are a great start at that intersection. And also, I know that Floyd is going to be eventually paved, which will make the situation even worse. It'll become a raceway. I don't know, maybe we can discuss with the borough administrator. I know Leonia has beautiful bike lanes that might narrow the road a little bit and make, if people see that there's a bike lane there, they may be less apt to speed because it's a little bit of a, more of a narrow. So anything creative that can be done on that, and, you know, I think you already have your speed signs that are there.
Yeah,
Which-
just for your own information, we have, of course, the stop sign itself, the stop bar, painted in the roadway, stop ahead, and even further than that, back, we have, you know, the sign with the little stop sign in with the arrowhead, kind of letting people know there's a stop ahead.
Yes,
My point of bringing it up was, if there was something structurally wrong with the intersection, we'd be averaging more than 1.25 accidents per year. And like I said, I attribute that to human error.
Yeah.
Which is the cause of most accidents.
yeah.
We have several hundred accidents per year in town. So that only average 1.25 per year at that intersection. I attribute that to the occasional human error. which
Yeah. Do you think
happens.
that human error could be lessened with a flashing sign?
We
Yeah,
can give it a try, like I said.
No.
yeah,
DPW super would know the cost of those, and
yeah.
he'd be installing them anyway, so.
I saw them on in a catalog already. They don't look too, I mean, there's an expense, but it's
I
not.
won't say no to it.
Yeah,
That is not a problem.
wonderful, good.
Okay. Anyone has any comment? Okay, thank you so much, Chair.
Mayor.
Okay,
Good evening, everybody.
yeah, come here.
Thank you.
Okay, DPW, okay, come out.
Good evening, everyone. Couple things. Earlier this month, I met with PSE&G, self-employed insured, part meeting. One was the consideration for the restoration and progress regarding the road, the gas main installation work.
They have the schedule now. They have that schedule.
Okay, great. They,
Not getting the restoration schedule.
right,
They have.
okay. And they were, very accommodating, and, you know, they got the sweeper out the next day, everything we talked about in the meeting, they didn't push back on, so they're trying to do the best they can to get these back in order a little bit. Second half of that meeting was substation work down next to DPW. It's moving along well, the old unit is officially out, so they're working on the portable unit, and they're starting the footings and building the new. I don't know, the April 15th on or about was the second part of their lease that's gonna occupy the south driveway.
Yeah,
of Golf Course.
on your phone, your
Yeah,
track.
on my driveway,
Right.
so I thought it was April 15th, but give or take.
That's the same date that they're gonna start putting a manhole, on Palisades.
Turn the phone off.
They're gonna turn the corner, right, from our office.
Okay. I met with Laura Barbieri at LG, regarding Earth Day, and they're having Earth Day April 22nd at LG. They're having a e-waste vendor, some food trucks, things like that. I'm planning on attending. It's an event from 12 to 5, about bringing vehicle. You get out some paperwork regarding, you know, our recycling here in town, on calendar. April 22nd. Second visit. They seem to be, asking, you know, happy that the borough's getting involved and be present. Michael's group has mobilized at 474 and 476 Hudson Terrace, and demolition is underway. Going back to the weather last week, I do like to thank the chief, the officers that worked with us last Wednesday were very instrumental. A wild 8 to 10 hours, but we fared very, very well considering just the wind and we did not get it away clean. We did have some minor damage to residents' property and vehicle. No damage to borough buildings, property, or injuries or accidents to employees or vehicles. But I do thank the entire staff for helping there. Day later, earthquake, I contact our administrator, I have no report of any damage to buildings, property. Next week, we're gonna be meeting with the second regional flood stormwater management teams that's putting together a plan regarding mass flooding throughout neighboring counties. That's been pretty informative so far, and I'll go back whatever we find. Our recycling event is still scheduled for June 22nd. I would like to meet with the recycling committee in the next couple of weeks, actually plan and accordingly for maybe another event later in the fall. But June 22nd is our recycling event, and we look forward to that. That's on the DPW, 9 to 1, as we have in the past. Lastly, like I said, this weekend is opening day, and parks are open, and Little League hooking kicks off. Other than that, we'll see some West, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone any question?
Quick question. Do either you or Mr. Bavario know, because it seemed to me as though that substation, which I was led to believe was going to benefit the residents of Englewood Cliffs, but the more I see all these gigantic telephone poles, power poles, all leading down to Englewood and out of town, do we know just how much of that new generation station, for lack of a better term, is really providing electricity to the residents of Englewood Cliffs?
So we were told, Glenn, that the big poles are bringing power to the substation. That's what we were told. That-
To it, not from it.
Not from it, to it. So I can ask that question and find out what the percentage is of that power that they subdivide goes to us and goes to the others, yeah. Yeah, but we asked that question and we thought it was going away as well, but we found out it was coming to
And I
the
could be
substation.
100% wrong, but this, the perception of it is,
Yeah, it does.
and you see it, it goes right down Booth, looks like it goes right down towards Englewood
We
Hospital.
shared the perception,
But,
right?
also you mentioned about the, I was also under the impression that the lease that we have right now is strictly for whatever the road is that they have, right, at Demorest, what is the road that's being used right now when the power station is?
Charlotte Place.
Charlotte. I thought the lease that we have right now is strictly for Charlotte Place. Is there a different lease for them to now take over, like you just mentioned, the driveway on our property? Or is that still covered under the old lease? Because if that's the case, I think the number, and does the lease include an increase? Because you would think that after a year, it could go up, a percentage. Is anything built into that lease to increase the revenue, especially now that they're taking over our property? Closing a road is one thing, it's technically our property, public property. But now you're saying they're gonna take over part of DPW property.
Yeah, so since I came back, there hasn't been any additional lease or conversation about any of these. So I have to assume that it was in the original, but I can't say for sure because I didn't review the original to take a look at that
Can you
and
please
see.
look at that?
Yeah, we'll look at that, yeah.
How long is the lease for?
I think it was 3 years.
3 to 5 years.
So when did it start? How long we have to go?
Well, the first lease started some time ago, but there is a second, there's a second lease for the driveway. And they anticipate being
Oh.
as far as they
Okay,
got.
that's okay.
It's not all one
Do you
lease.
have that?
I don't.
If you don't have it,
I gotta
I'm
find
just
it.
looking
You're
for
right,
it.
right.
I hear that, and now all of a sudden they're gonna take over and
Yeah.
close
Right.
the DPW property. We
Well,
should
when
get a
they-
little more revenue.
When they did the Charlotte Place, that was the move-in to the port,
Sure.
and they knew it'd be a year and a half roundabout to be on the driveway side, so here we are. So
I've-
that's the
Maybe
second.
you could fix that wall that has a problem in the back, if they're gonna do anything for it.
I can add a little bit. Well, first, I do have I'll add to what you just said, Councilman Luciano. I know that there is a catch basin that is not draining on the Board of Education property. I didn't communicate that with anyone yet. Typically, when a catch basin does not drain and the water just kind of collects and moves, that means that there's some sort of clog or, yes. Okay. All right, so have we ever in the past done work with the Board of Education or have had shared
Catch
services?
basin work,
Yes.
No.
No, okay. Because it is affecting people that are on Casper or in back. The other thing is, Elisa, you know your streets. I should know it's right in back of me. And then the issue with the PSE&G, they did build a retaining wall for that, the alarm company. It even matched the color beautifully, and it enlarged the parking lot. And
They did
supposed.
that for themselves with the retention, they needed to reinforce that wall.
Correct, correct, but they put a lot of attention and it's a beautiful wall. Donald Trump would love that wall. But it's, I'm talking about trying to make it a little funny. Anyway, I was incensed, and I've heard a lot, I don't know if you've heard a lot of residents complaining about the oversized utility poles up and down the street. And I did bring that up, and I did copy the CEO of PSCNG. And I'm going to continue to communicate with them, because I think what is being done to the town is incredible. And I will say also, it seems like there was a lot of change in administration during the time of negotiation with PSCNG, and that I would be very interested in possibly recovering, as you alluded to maybe renegotiate rents or get some more out of them, because they're bringing power in, actually, that substation, I've learned, is powering well, I probably shouldn't say it publicly, but it's powering some crucial things in the neighborhood, so.
The only other thing I'd like to add on your comment is, I would be very cautious that the borough embarks on anything on anybody else's property, because I think we're potentially in at least 2 lawsuits with us trying to be good neighbors and going and helping people on private property. And now they're saying that we're responsible for the drainage. So I would say, you know what, I don't know if I want our people to go on to the Board of Education's property.
I'm just asking history, that's all.
And I know, and
Yeah.
then the history is that we were told with one on Maple and another one down on the
Division.
back of, towards back behind you in the back there, that they said that, you know, we're saying PSE&G, they're saying it's us, but whatever it is, I'd be very leery about going on private property with, you know, unless it's an easement that belongs to us, that, you know, for us to mess around with anything, because then they come back and say, oh, the town did it, you're responsible for it 10 years down the road, but that's the only thing I have.
Okay.
Okay. No more question. Okay, thank you. And I appreciate the last
Thank you.
Wednesday, you and your team did a really great job. Okay, I really appreciate it. Okay, next administrator official, you're gonna do that? Yeah.
Thank you, hold on a second.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So, a couple of things that I have, I don't have a formal report put together, but I did jot down some things that, Van Dennen Place is going to be closed off, starting April 29. We've been sending out information through the Constant Contact, and, I contacted New Jersey Transit, because they do they have buses there do temporary layovers there in between routes. So, a gentleman by the name of Kenneth called me back today, late today, so I will call him tomorrow to arrange. The bus is not being there anymore, but the road will be closed by the end of the month. I did update the board on the PSCG meeting. It was an email from April 4th.
Can you mute whoever's talking on the, I'm sorry.
It's coming from the hallway.
Okay.
No, he's coming from,
Oh,
coming from there.
oh, okay.
So if you look at the April 4th email, it updates the PSCG meetings that we had. We had both one with gas and one with electric separately. The next item that I have is several days ago, actually it was last week, where we received an agreement or a quote for professional services from Neglia for the work to be done on Floyd. And I can turn it over to Matteo Luzuringa, sorry. But 2 items on this was that we have about $344,000 in NJDOT money that we need to utilize for this road, for the paving of this road. We also are trying to work with, and that's why I distributed the detail of the PSCG work that needs to be done. We're going to negotiate money from PSCG for the damage that they did to the road. And the reason we need the engineer in this is because the DOT has very strict guidelines that we have to follow, and a lot of reports from the engineers. So I do want to thank Matteo, because the first quote that he provided us sometime, I guess it was April 2nd or 1st, was significant, and he was able to go back and sharpen his pencil and take a look at the costs for his professional services, which he reduced by $46,000. So I really appreciate that very much. The second part of that is that Councilman Di Gregorio wanted to know what the potential would cost for Belgian block all the way up and down Floyd Street. And I appreciate Mateo doing the calculation. It's an additional $726,000 to do that. So that seems to be cost prohibitive, unless the council wants to move forward with something like that. But as of right now, we have $344,000 towards a $1.2 million repaving roadway project for Floyd Street. And we will report back as soon as I can get the number from PSE&G and see what I can squeeze out of that. Other than that, I will talk again, Mayor, when we talk about neighborhood watch.
Yeah, okay, later on. Okay, you can do that. Okay, thank you. Any question?
I'm not afraid to say, I just have a concern that I don't understand how one council member, where I'm told that council needs to be, I mean, unless anybody else was aware or advising or asking our engineer to give us additional plans, because I'm sure there was cost incurred. And to hear that it's only coming from one council member without it being brought to the council is a little disturbing, as well as the fact that I read in an Oprah, because the only way I get information is Oprah, of a meeting and a request of new lighting, even though I'm the chair of the lighting committee on David's block, that's gonna cost more money. And now, without that coming to the council, I don't understand how one council person can just make the decision, because I'm told repeatedly by our council and by members of our elected officials that, you know, you can't do that just on your own. So I'm just a little
Well,
mystified.
can I,
Finish?
yeah, sure.
Can I just finish?
Yeah, when you're finished, then
I'm
I'll.
just kind of mystified how that, you know, is being permitted on one side of the coin, but on, for lack of a better term, but on the other side of the coin, you're held to a different level. And I keep hearing about how it has to go through the committee, and, you know, one council person can't just do that. And now we have different things that are, you know, going to cost, and it's de minimis to a certain extent, but it's just the point of the matter that, you know what, if we needed lighting on that street, I don't see what the issue should have been that coming back to the council or bringing it to the chair of the lighting committee. For one, instead of contacting PS&G on your own, along with the administrator, now all of a sudden I see through Oprah, never brought to the council, that I have to find this out through an Oprah request of emails between you and the administrator. And I find that a little disturbing.
What was the date of that, what was the date of that email?
I don't have it in front of me, Councilman. I think it was back in January, but January the 19th, but don't hold me to the date.
That was
So,
January of 2023, I believe, not 2024. Yes,
whenever it
that was January 2023.
once-
and
once
that
again,
was-
you wanna debate me about a date, I just told you
Okay,
I don't
well,
know the date.
and the other,
If it was
yeah.
2023, or 2022, or 2021.
I believe I was,
You're missing the point.
but I believe I was chair of the lighting committee at that time, number one. And number two, let me finish, that was a request that was in front of the school by a person across the street. There was a light that was installed there. And that was signed off by, I called PSE&G, did a little legwork, and that was signed off by Mr. Neville. And Mr. Neville was actually aware of that. So I was the chair of lighting during that time, I do believe. You can check your facts, I might be wrong, but that was the story with that. Now the school is safely lit up. I did see, prior to my call and action on this, I did see a student standing in the dark in front of the school. I said, this neighbor really has a point. It's a safety issue. We need to get a light up there. Okay, that's all. That's all. I'm just trying to clear.
I'm talking about and making an issue of the procedural.
Well, I was the chair of lighting and I took that seriously.
Oprah that I made was from January of this year until April. So it was emails.
Check the date. I could be wrong. I told you.
It was, well, you're misleading and you're defending something, and I'm not talking about, but once again, if the light was not efficient, I don't have any problem as a resident contacting PSE&G and saying, this light isn't right. Well, you know what they would have to do? They should come back to the council instead of a council person taking it upon themselves
Okay.
and committing the borough to an extra couple $100 a year.
I don't think it's that much, yeah.
$20-something a month. I'll
If
try
it
to
saves a
find
life, it's worth it.
Okay,
Any other?
thank you.
That's not the point.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move
Thank
on.
you.
Okay,
Mr. Park,
let's move on.
I have one other question.
Just
to
a
the Borough
quick,
Administrator.
okay.
One question. I see in the prospective projects for 2024, we have a paving co-op expense of $100,000. For what streets do you know?
Yeah, I'll resend the streets, but I think I sent the streets in the last communication. But I'll resend the streets.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a big list, Councilperson, it's a short list.
Okay,
Because the
I
PSE&G,
appreciate
we're
it.
counting on PSE&G doing a lot of work.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
Mr. Mayor,
if
one,
that
just
was
a short
included.
comment, real short
Okay,
comment.
yes.
Regarding the Belgian block, you very kindly supplied a price for the whole street. If the council approves and around key areas that are very visible, like the school, or other more public areas, can that be prorated? Can you give us a per foot? I'm sure you have a per foot and you measured the road and that's how you calculate it.
$55
$55 per
per
foot.
foot,
Okay,
plus some ancillary costs.
okay, so if we take a look, that there might be some strategic areas that can beautify the town. I am chair of the beautification committee. I believe that's still the case, and I'm always looking for ways to beautify the town. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the time.
Okay, anybody? No, right? Okay, let's move on. Public,
We have a fire department here that would like to.
yeah, here, public comment here. So,
No, it's not, he's the fire
The fire-
department is not here as a
oh, okay.
resident.
I'm sorry, so the
Fire department.
fire department, you're gonna, the department report, you're gonna do the, I'm so sorry. I never seen before. Okay, come on in, I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The chief apologizes, he is traveling on business tonight on the West Coast, so he could not be here to provide you a report. March was a very busy month for the volunteer fire department. We had a number of serious incidents, including a very bad car accident in which our members extricated a victim from an overturned U-Haul truck on the Palisades Interstate Parkway. It was an extended operation, and our members did an excellent job, and my understanding is the victim is making a full recovery. Additionally, with the SATR response back in the beginning of March also, there was a fatal fire in the borough of Richfield. Our fire department was called there to provide mutual aid assistance. We provided fire cover assignment as well as assistance with overhaul and extinguishment. It was a 2 o'clock in the morning call on a Saturday night, so we appreciate the efforts of our members to come out there, and hopefully they got a little bit of sleep that night. Additionally, we had a very busy day in which we had multiple calls occurring simultaneously. Amongst those, we got again on the Palisades Interstate Parkway, a call for a car fire, so we had to basically split resources and send required units up to the parkway to put it out. And I'd particularly like to thank 2 of the members at the DPW, who are also members of the fire department, Fireman Frick and Nicholas Terabacchio, who did an excellent job under difficult conditions. In terms of training, we're happy to announce that we've put into service our first battery-operated rescue tool. Basically, this is the future of motor vehicle extrications. Everything is now battery-operated. Fantastic technology. You may have seen the beat-up Mercedes station wagon out in front of the parking lot. Basically, that was our test bed to train members over the course of March on how to properly use the tool in a safe and effective manner. So it may have looked poor, but it had a purpose to it so that we could have all of our members. Additionally, our high-angle rescue team, which is a group of high-angle technicians, specially trained to operate on, as you see the Palisades behind you in the picture. We provide services for, as part of a realignment with the county, our team can technically provide services to the entire county as well as surrounding states, to New York, Rockland County, in the event of a technical rescue is needed. It's a new thing and we're excited to be part of that, and it takes a lot of training and effort by our members. We're looking to add people as well as integrate new equipment and training involved in that. Event-wise, we were happy to host the local Girl Scout troop. They did a tour and a demonstration in the firehouse, and it was fantastic. We had pizza, and they brought enough cookies for the members to keep them hooked up for the entire year. So it was a win-win for everybody. We also had the Greek flag raising ceremony. Mayor, thank you. You were a part of it, and you even helped clean up afterwards. Jerry as well provided, the catering. So it was a very nice event for everybody. And we also had the Japanese Children's Society. They frequently request tours of the firehouse, and they bring the young ones over, and it is a very positive event. Additionally, we're expecting delivery of our utility truck within the month of May. This was a truck that was purchased through FEMA funds that Chris Raths and Jerry helped secure last year. We're expecting delivery of that. That replaces a 1985 ambulance that has since been sold. So it's a real positive development for the fire department. And I assume the borough administrator is also going to talk about grant writer. Coincidentally, we approached a grant writer who informed us that he was already having conversations with Mr. Barbario, and it's really an advantageous thing, and we're excited to work with Mr. Barbario and the grant writer for opportunities. And lastly, an addendum was sent out to the mayor and council regarding some issues that may have been brought up in the April 3rd budget meeting. These are just clarifications on issues, and if any of the members of the governing body have any questions, they can always reach out to either the chief or myself, and we'll be happy to discuss them.
I have a quick question or comment.
Okay, yes.
I heard a rumor about you.
Hey.
Yeah. You saved a dog today? Was that you?
Oh, you found the door?
So, my office is right on the corner of Charlotte and 9W. And as I was leaving, I noticed the dog that's been missing. It unfortunately darted out into traffic, and I used my work truck to block the road to sort of, move the dog back on. I know they say don't chase it, but it
Right.
probably wouldn't have fared well on the highway.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the owner is successfully reunited with the dog.
I heard rumor, yes, and commend you for saving. This dog has been missing for many days, and so it's a big relief that it's been.
Well, I
yeah.
appreciate that. It's just anything that, it's a little defenseless animal on the highway. You just want to make sure that it's.
Chief, can you, were you going to cover any of the addendum, or you want to cover? I really would like on your addendum, I know we had this issue raised last year. I know that it seemed like pretty clear that the VA and the council kind of knew what was happening with the certification or the lack of being able to certify the ladder truck, and it seems as though the other day at the budget meeting, no one ever even seemed to remember or mention it or discuss it. So can you please re-enlighten us as to, even though the ladder truck has very little miles, thank goodness, it just means there's less fires to have to go to. But can you just enlighten us as to what the issue is with not being able to certify the ladder truck?
Because of its age.
Yeah, so just with regards to that, and if the mayor and council would have a chance to review the documentation that's explained in there, and again, I can answer any questions. Unfortunately, it's not the mileage, it's the years that count. The tower ladder truck is a very complicated piece of machinery with a lot of different integrated systems in it. One of the major problems is in Englewood Cliffs, we're small towns, so mileage really doesn't factor into it because the truck is not going, tens or dozens of miles to get to its destination. The average trip of it to a response is under a mile and a half in either direction. But the problem is that pipes corrode, transmissions fail, leaks occur, corrosion on body structural steel occurs. These are issues that just happen with age. We try to take very good care of the truck. Our entire fleet, we take very great pride in making sure that it's in top-notch condition. But there are just different issues that, as age goes on, we cannot prevent it from happening. So one of the things right now that unfortunately we just discovered last month was that there was a large pool of hydraulic fluid underneath the transmission. We called in a repair company to ascertain, to evaluate it, and basically their comment was that eventually in the near term you're going to need a full and complete overhaul of the transmission. These are just issues that occur with age. The waterway, which has water in it constantly, is a cast iron pipe, just like you have in your home. Because it's constantly exposed to water, it's corroding and failing. These are issues that happen with an older truck that's been in service for so long. With regards to certification, the National Fire Protection Association has established standards for fire department vehicles. These are not laws in that there's no enforcement of it, but these are industry or field accepted best practices that all departments should follow in terms of keeping their members safe and ensuring their equipment's in a reliable state. The NFPA standard as referenced in here, NFPA 1901 and 1911, dictate that after 30 years, fire apparatus need to be retired. And there are a variety of reasons for that, primarily is safety of the members. In 30 years, there have been massive advances in firefighter vehicle safety. New fire trucks have airbags, crumple zones, rollover protection, supplemental restraints, seat belts, all sorts of new technology. Even the lighting and reflective markers in the back are intentionally designed into that standard to help maintain maximum firefighter safety. And the results show in that number of injuries or fatalities from apparatus-related accidents has diminished considerably. And response is almost always one of the most hazardous times for a first responder when you're getting to the scene. Additional issues are that if the apparatus is taken out of service, there is an agency called ISO. Basically, that is the insurance service organization. They're an independent third party that evaluate fire department capabilities. Right now, our department is rated as a 5, which is basically the normal level for a suburban volunteer fire department. That's based on a number of factors. Primarily amongst that factor is the ability for the fire department to properly equip an apparatus such as a tower ladder truck or an engine. After 30 years, ISO will no longer recognize an apparatus as part of their calculation to determine the fire department rating. So we may have a ladder truck that's perfectly in service, but without a replacement plan, they will not count that apparatus in terms of our rating. The impact to property owners is basically an increased adjustment insurance rate as well as whatever associated fees are associated with that. I'm not sure what the exact number is. You know, we do have ISO inspections on a routine basis. I know our last one was, I believe, prior to COVID, which they took a break afterwards because they were not doing in-person inspections. But I believe Fort Lee recently had one, and I'm not sure of the results, but that would mean that they're probably looking to start going back into Bergen County to do their things. Usually they'll of course notify us ahead of time for that. So, I'd be happy to answer any other questions, otherwise thank you, and we look forward to continuing reporting with you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Chief. Okay, now, next item is a public comment, right?
Budget introduction?
Yeah,
We
public
did
comment.
that already.
Oh,
We
sorry.
did
We
it?
did,
Remember we tried to table it and it was over.
the budget introduction.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
The budget?
No, public.
Got it.
No, he's
If you want, I'll
talking
make a
about.
motion to table again if you want.
Yeah, it's done already.
Here. We're at
Got it.
Yeah,
Fight about it and
okay, I need a motion to open the public comment. Yeah,
Make a motion.
yes.
Second.
Okay. Okay, anybody come out here and state your name and address, please come out here, please.
Carl Degale, my brother Matthew Degale. We own a property on Fifth Street. We're the only property with a restriction on it that we can't build. Restrictions placed on the property in 1962, 64, thank you, would be accurate. We understand that there was, there's a project near Fifth Street by the Chiaffi. Okay, we're here to find out what's going on with that. I know that the town was working feverishly to either push it through. I don't know where it is, so I'm looking for a status on that. Because that obviously affects our property. And if that is stagnant, I remember Mr. Kim before, we had a vote before. And you were kind of like in the middle of it, and that's kind of why you didn't lift the restriction because of that. So I'm kind of looking for a status on that now. And if the status is that you're flipping the project, then we'd like to go back into talking about lifting the restriction, okay, to build so that we can put the property up for sale. We had it sold, but because in discovery, they found the restriction on the property, and naturally, being that the town didn't lift it, I lost the sale. So,
Can I ask a question? Can you tell us why there is restriction on the property?
1962.
No, why? What's the reason?
I don't know.
There must be a reason. Nobody will restrict the property
Well,
just like
put it
that.
this way, the three properties.
When you bought it, was it restricted?
it was inherited,
It was
property was
inherited.
subdivided,
Right.
they were in a partnership with somebody else. Two of the lots were available to be built upon, one of them was not their property that they inherited from their father.
Yes.
That was being added, so the person who wanted to build got their permission to build, and divided three different lots. The one lot that they inherited had a restriction on it. We were gonna remove it last year. There was resistance because of what's happening at the Chaffee property to try to, for other reasons, we held it up because it would be beneficial to all the homeowners on that street to have someone else contributing towards the improvements. Because right now, there's an ordinance that says all the improvements or added assessments, that's going to be passed on to them. I think we've drawn our rear ends long enough. As soon as public matters closes, I plan on making a motion to remove the restriction.
I don't know what you're planning, but I have to understand, that's all, you know,
I'm glad you asked the question.
yeah, because,
Because he gave a great explanation.
I'm still.
So that's basically, so can anybody answer me on where we are with the jet?
Chaffee project,
No.
I think
No, we
maybe
don't
the
know.
building
We don't have an
department should
attorney
know,
right now.
the building department should know.
No, he's talking about the development of the Chaffee
Oh,
property.
this is,
That's
yeah,
part
I
of
know.
affordable
It's still
housing.
going on back and forth. forth, that's why, like I told you last year,
Who's that
unfortunately, I thought that this would, and I apologize, but I thought we were.
Would be
You'll
beyond
see,
this.
I'm not supposed to, not that I shouldn't speak during public session, we wanna get you through so we can get through the
Right,
meeting.
right.
But it's been dragging its rear end for too long, I'll leave it at that.
Sir, if you reach out to the borough administrator with your property information, I'm the borough attorney, I can get you some more information. Right now, the answer to the question is that we are waiting for, we've gone back and forth several times with the Chaffee property over their plans and concerns that the township the borough has over their plans. So we're currently waiting for their next round of proposals. So it's a project which is still pending, but I don't have a deadline to to say to you, they're gonna get us something back by X date, and if some other thing doesn't happen, at what point in time does the project, essentially dead versus it's just moving along slowly, so so to answer your question is it's still out there, it's still, as far as we know, they're still looking to move forward with it, it's part of, the borough has obligations, with regard to that property, so we can't simply say no, if that project's not moving forward, we have other issues.
What did you suggest I reach out to?
So reach out to the borough administrator,
Email
This is that
I don't believe so.
lot 000, quad zeros with a 3, block 00202, that's their property.
give it to me one more time, Glenn.
00003. Zeros, the block is 00202. And I'll introduce that by lot and block when I make my motion to remove the restriction.
The restriction, I'm sorry, the restriction is a restriction put on by the municipality?
Correct.
It's not a private restriction?
Municipality. In order for them to subdivide the property,
Right.
so, can we talk about it after the public session?
Yeah, I'm sorry, okay, yeah, that's fine. I just want to understand, for a second, I thought it was a private, I thought we were talking about a private restriction, now I'm,
Plan, we put it on to prevent the house from being
Understood.
built before Fifth Street was being developed.
I got
I
you.
see that we have in our package.
Okay,
Something, well, I don't know who
You,
authorized
you,
that either.
you brought gonna to do that?
We have something
Okay,
additional.
yeah, okay.
This is, hi, my name's Matt Tigali, this is my brother. I have a side issue. I was approached by the neighbor wanting to cut down one of the trees. On the property, and the tree happens to be on the border of, my property and along the initial neighbor on the side. It's a huge tree, where the house is, and the neighbor behind us is the one who's really interested in cutting it. I said, okay, I talked to my other family members, they're all interested in selling, allowing them to cut it down, no problem. We found out, okay, you need a permit to cut down the tree.
Yes.
Okay, because when we had, I think, Mr. Chen from the
Yeah.
tree commission come by, he says, okay, size of tree, you need 2 trees to replace it. And he tells, oh, you need a bond for it. Okay, since it's a vacant land, if I put 2 trees on the property, we sell it, they're gonna knock it down. So what would be the remedy to appease my neighbor where, what's up, because he claims the tree is dying?
Tell him it's a hazard, go to them and say it's a hazard, and let him put up a bond.
Well, he doesn't wanna put up a bond, nobody wants to put up a bond.
No, I hear
Speak
you.
to the administrator.
What can we do, sir?
So if you, what's the
The
issue?
issue
Plant
is,
the tree.
the
Is
issue
the
is
plant- gonna come down?
planting the trees, that if we put them on my property, okay, whoever buys the property's gonna tear it down. And they said the bond is good for a year, and you get your money back with a little interest.
It's probably gonna be sold by.
It'll be sold by-
It's a moot point.
It's a moot point
Wait
for
till
the
you
trees.
sell it. Wait till you sell it, let the new owner deal with that.
That's not the issue.
Issue.
It's our neighbor, it's our
He
neighbor.
wants to cut down the tree,
So let him wait, you sell it.
so I don't, he has.
So is it a hazardous tree?
Yes.
No, it will be, it's half dying, according to what he saw in
And
the
yes, it is a
past.
hazardous tree.
Yes,
It is
it's
a hazardous tree.
Sherry, why don't you have Mark, go take a look,
No,
When you send me, when you
reliable.
send me the email,
so it's
I'll
on,
give- I'll
yeah,
give
it's
you the
on
whole-
private property, so it's up to Mr. Chen, and I will talk to Yang myself.
Because Mr. Chairman, we all
Mr.
discussed it, and he
Yang
just
was there
go
already.
whatever you guys say.
I said, wants 2 trees.
To me, I would think maybe the workaround would be, is the trees be planted on each individual property. outside our property. That might be a remedy, I don't know.
They just don't wanna put the money up to the bond.
Yeah,
It's 1,000.
900, yeah.
no,
It's
$1,000.
Yeah, 1,000.
What was it, block 202, lot 3?
And it's butt up
Send
against
liable
the
in
fence,
there.
there's the white fence is butt.
White fence, okay.
It bumped up, it's a very large street,
Careful driving down the road though, it's really a hazard.
yeah, pothole city.
I'll get one of Mark's pickup trucks. Okay. Also, when I email
You
it.
could
Yeah, you can email, you can,
email.
right, all right, thank you.
Yep, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Next. Who's next?
I don't see anybody's hand there making motion
Oh,
to
yeah.
close the meeting.
Okay.
There you go.
Somebody on, up there?
So we're gonna close and she's resurrected.
Karen Geiger, 270 Alfred, I just have a few questions. One is to Matt Mensch. In Oprah, is there a response, who has the authority to extend the timetable on an Oprah request? Is it the borough that can automatically do it, or they need permission?
No, they can automatically do it up to, I think the first, they can't do it, indefinitely for, a year, but they can do it, I think it's up to about 30 days, like one extension within 30 days.
Perfect. Second question, I noticed that the community center is still standing, and I'm very happy to see that it's still standing. Because the prior plan that was approved had it coming down. So can you tell me why? My investigation showed that the community center, I heard, had to go because parking spaces were being provided for the courts, which is odd, because no one the people I spoke to at the planning board who approved the project had no idea that the places were being set aside for the courts and thought that they were needed for the development itself and therefore that the community center had to go. So I just wanted to confirm that we are retaining the community center, and I think it's wonderful that we are, if that's the case. The other thing is the smoke test. I think I've been coming here for close to a year, and we've been waiting for the results from Boswell of the smoke tests and the visualization of the sewer pipes, so we can meet the requirements of the TWA. I looked at the budget how much we've been billed by Boswell, and it seems that most of the money has been spent. So I'd like to know, does the council have the report yet? Is it available to the public? Is somebody going to be following up? Because this seems to be something that should have been completed already.
Mayor?
Yes.
So I did follow up, and the company, National Pipe, has not been paid because I don't have a report. So in order to try to incentivize them to get me a report, I asked them to provide a portion of the report that didn't include Sylvan Avenue, which is probably the holdup, but I don't know that for sure because I didn't get a proper response from the engineer's office. And they said that they were going to provide or give my offer, present my offer to National Pipe. I haven't heard anything yet.
I'm confused. So National Pipe did the study but isn't turning over the results to the engineers who were supposed to evaluate it and report to the mayor and council on it?
National Pipe did most of the study except for Sylvan Avenue. They haven't done Sylvan Avenue.
But Sylvan Avenue is the big issue.
Correct, and the big issue with them is the fact that they don't have approval from NJDOT to do Sylvan Avenue.
That's because the catch basin,
Well, whatever it is, but I was presented with a bill a month ago for $43,000 or $48,000 and I wouldn't approve it because I don't have a report.
on PSE&G road repair, I just want to make a comment. There was a broken water main on Jenkins few months ago. They came in and they fixed it fully. But the way the road was repaired is you could see the blacktop on the top, you could see the blacktop and another half block down. And the street, which was newly paved by the borough, now looks like a patchwork mess. This just isn't we pride ourselves, I think you pride yourselves, on keeping our streets looking pristine. And now, especially with PSE&G, the other was with Viola Water, but this kind of approach to taking streets that you've spent the money to fix and make look nice from top to bottom when you do them, now has blacktop and then the old street, and it doesn't match, and it looks like a big patch in the middle. And if this is what's coming, I really recommend that the borough administrator and the council take a strong position on the road work that's being done in our town and how it's going to be repaved. Because we just don't have that in other areas when we do our streets. I noticed on the agenda that we have 2 laborers being hired. I think that's a great step in the right direction, getting our DPW fully staffed. I noticed with some happiness that the street sweeper was going down the street. I haven't seen that in a long time, so that's a good move. One comment about the comments of the auditor on the budget. The auditor's job, I don't care what it was in the past, but the auditor's job is to audit the books. That's his role. And last year, the auditor, in response to questions on the budget, said he didn't believe in tax decreases, and that the borough shouldn't decrease the budget, the council didn't follow his advice. So I think that you should follow the advice that you believe is right, and not the one from the auditor who is astonished that we aren't providing for certain things in the budget. That's not his job. His job is to audit the budget and the expenses against what has been approved. And as last year, they audited and talked about dog fee collections. That's really germane. He should keep to his job and let the others who have the responsibility for dealing with the budget deal with theirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Okay, come on. Okay, come out. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Marty Geiger, I live at 270 Alfred Street. Actually, now that Karen mentioned it, I thought you were going to replace the auditor for various reasons, and I thought that just slipped through the cracks at the reorganization meeting. Something else that seems to have cleared slipped is this matter of the cash management plan. As the borough attorney knows, every municipality is required to annually adopt a cash management plan. You were going to do this at the reorganization meeting, but in fact, it turned out there was no plan, so it was just, you couldn't do it. Well, now it's April, so January, February, March, April, 4 months later, to my knowledge, there still is no cash management plan. So I would suggest, in this case, since the borough attorney has a wonderful cash management plan in his own community, that you at least get a copy of it, have the CFO review it, have the borough administrator review it yourselves, and maybe that can serve the basis for Englewood Cliffs to have a cash management plan. But to just ignore the requirement, which is a state law, doesn't seem to me to be in the best interest of the community. In addition, back in December 13, the majority of the council approved a resolution to require the CFO to provide certain monthly information to the mayor and to the clerk, who would then transmit it to the mayor and council. I have requested copies of those reports for January, February, and March, and the response has been from the borough clerk that those reports don't exist. Well, some of those reports are basic things, such as do you have them? Where your money is invested.
We're waiting for them to.
What?
We're waiting for them to.
You're waiting for them too, but you're waiting for them, but in the meantime, the borough is incurring now additional expense
as I have a letter here from the law firm called Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, and Jacobs in Oakland, New Jersey, who has been hired to investigate why my Oprahs, or why Oprah that I have filed had not been responded to. So it seems to me a very basic thing to have the CFO, who I understand is getting much more money than his predecessor, even though he's working part-time, to provide the information. It would seem to me that unless you resolve to do something about it, or he has some valid excuse that he hasn't done it, it's just insubordination, and I think that's intolerable. But that's all I have to say about that, and yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? What about
I don't
June?
see anybody.
June?
No, there's no hands up.
I don't see
Okay.
anybody.
No one is seeing and hearing, and I'm gonna close.
Motion to,
Yeah.
motion to close.
Okay, and then next item is, I'm gonna go to this, order, and then maybe you have a chance, you're gonna to bring some, or I'm going to continue, okay, because we're gonna to save time. Yeah, okay. What about the payment claims? What about number 8? Number 8, council review and discussion, administrator, would you do that for me?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
So as far as Millennium Strategies, Millennium Strategies works, to my knowledge, in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They were a former vendor of where I used to work. And after speaking with the police chief and the fire chiefs, I wanted to approach them because at my former municipality, we were very successful in obtaining grant money from them or with their help. And so they have two models. They have a $3,000, or it's now $3,500 per month model where they identify grants, they ask the borough for information, they write the grant, and they submit the grant. And then they have a second model, which I'm presenting this evening, which is $400 a month, and they identify the grants, and they provide us that information, and then we decide whether we need to solicit their help or not in producing and writing the grant. And they would charge $150 an hour if we need them to proceed with the grant writing. And so I'm presenting to the council this evening the potential to consider Millennium Strategies as our grant identifiers, not necessarily writers, unless we need them for a complex situation.
Mr. Bavaria. In the other municipalities that I've been involved with, every grant writer that I've ever experienced, I don't know, has been always working on a percentage of the grant and not necessarily a paid, and part of their job, without an hourly rate, was trying to identify all the grants that we may potentially be available for. So I have an issue with paying someone to look for grants, because 90% of the grants in our socioeconomic and demographic area, we're not gonna be eligible for grants. So I would recommend, and my suggestion would be, is that we look for another grant person that may work on, and that might be why we can't get any grant writers, is because they know we're not gonna be eligible for grants. But I'm a little hesitant to throw money at grant writers at $150 an hour that are gonna come back and say, oh, we did 40 hours worth of work and you're not eligible for it. I'd rather people come here and say, you know what, we're gonna pursue this grant because we think you might be eligible for it, and we'll take that risk whether we're gonna make a percentage of that grant, which is sometimes anywhere from 10 to 15%. So that's just my comment on that. So that's what I would request.
So I have worked with grant writers like that in South Jersey, and that is true. They take 15% of what you win. If in Mamaroneck, where I used to work, we received $25 million in grants in the 5 years that I was there. So we would have paid a significant amount of money in that, but this is their structure. And if the board, if the council wants me to pursue something like that with another company, of course I can do that and see if they're willing to work for us. Second item, Mayor?
Yes.
Second item is the directive that you asked me to look into, which is the Community Neighborhood Watch Program, which when I started doing the research, there's over 250 communities in the state of New Jersey that have this. Difficult to find out unless I call many of them or all of them, whether they're very active or not. But it is a program that's very widespread throughout the community. And what it would provide is basically what I wrote in the short summary of my research. I was happy to learn that there is a program, a Neighborhood Watch Manual, put out by USA On Watch, which is a combined joint effort between the Department of Justice and the National Sheriff's Association. So they have a guideline, they have a program, and it would be something that we would also follow to develop this community watch program.
Yeah, okay. You want to add on more? I'm going to add on more here. Because why this one is why I brought in here. This year only in New Jersey, almost this year only maybe 30,000 cars stolen, and 50% of the stolen car is happened here, Bergen County. As you remember about from the last year, end of the year, we got a lot of incident here. That's why we needed voluntarily to, to watch our, neighbor, and we can reduce about our crime rate, the auto stolen case. That's why I brought in here. So you want to read about the reading tonight, or you're going to bring it next time?
It's really at whatever direction the council wants me to proceed. I did the summary, I did the research, I did, at the request of a member of the Public Safety Committee, ask about the liability for the individuals driving around. And our GIF said that if they're using a borough provided vehicle, they would be covered 100%. If they're using their vehicle, they wouldn't be provided, they wouldn't be providing insurance for their vehicle. They would be using a borough vehicle.
How many disposable vehicles do we have?
We have a couple, but that would be a process to see how many volunteers we have and what kind of schedule we have.
I'm assuming you would be working with the chief on this?
Yes, the chief, and in my summary, I'm basically asking the chief to assign someone to
To oversee this?
oversee the program, right, yeah.
So the chief is aware of the proposal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about it.
Okay.
I'm 100% for our neighborhood watch. I've never seen that they were necessarily in vehicles, but I don't have, that seems more like special police. But I think there was always in the New Milford and Harrington, there were signs that we put up that said, you're a member of the neighborhood watch. I already consider myself a member of a neighborhood watch because I'm looking all around my neighborhood anyway. I just think that we should, I think it can't hurt us, and the more people that we have out there looking, is a good idea. I'm just surprised to hear about, I'll gladly drive around the car too, which, but, I think it's a great idea. The more eyes I have, I think I will disagree with you a little, Mayor. I don't think that anything we do is gonna stop the people, or maybe identifying them who might be in the neighborhood, like when I see a car sitting outside one of my neighbor's houses that has a New York license plate or a van, you call the police, but you know what, 99% of the time, people that are coming to steal your cars, they're in a stolen car. So even if you have their license plate, first off, you can't chase them. The first thing the police are gonna say is you're there to observe and report. You're not gonna be able to do anything except observe and report. And a lot of times now, we went through it, I don't think it's anymore, I know it's not any longer, is that, the police used to not even be able to pursue. And that's when the stolen cars really went through the roof. But I'll not belabor the point, I'm all for it.
Yeah, we're of course more supportive.
Absolutely.
Are we able to introduce this one tonight?
Yeah, well, why not? I just introduce tonight.
So I did provide to the borough attorney a very short, from Fairfield, New Jersey, it's very, very short ordinance that basically introduces the program and puts it on the books. It was 2 paragraphs, so it could be introduced by title if we want to, and then Matthew and his firm would would provide the ordinance for second reading.
I'd be happy to make the motion.
Second. I 100% agree with
Okay.
you, but I think if we go with what you had proposed, Mayor, that we weren't going to introduce anything without it being on the agenda the Friday before, that's the only reason why I won't support it tonight, because I don't think it's fair. I think that, why don't we do it next month to go along with what you had promised us last month that we haven't followed yet. So, I mean, I'm only one vote, but I think that to be fair, we should not have seen the introduction of the ordinance, even by title only. Let's follow what we preach and say, you know what? We can't make exceptions on some things and not the other, unless we're just gonna say, forget about what we said previously, so.
So Matt,
But I'm only one vote.
can you put together an ordinance for us
Oh, sure, yeah,
for the next meeting, or if we have a special meeting between?
We already got the motion.
Motion from,
Oh, yeah,
I-
okay.
either way, whether, if it's introduced tonight, then we'll have to put together language
Right.
for you. If it's not introduced tonight, then we will put it together for the next meeting. Either
Right.
way, I did look at the ordinance that Jerry sent over. I didn't have any major issues with it. You know, we would check out a couple other, just because other examples of it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's not,
Okay, then Laura, roll call, please.
Can you read what we're going to introduce?
I can read what Fairfield, New Jersey, if that's appropriate, Mayor.
you can
Yeah,
read, here we
okay,
go.
yeah, you
That's the
can-
model that you sent
yes.
over that we would be presumably working off of.
So, Councilperson Simon, so this is from the Township of Fairfield, New Jersey, and it's chapter 71-1, establishment. A neighborhood crime watch shall be established with the purpose to engage the citizens patrolled within the township and report any suspicious activities to the law enforcement authorities. 78-2, membership. Membership shall be at the discretion of the township committee, and the number of members and term of service, as well as the appointments shall be by resolution of the committee. That's the whole ordinance.
Is there any qualifications?
Not in this one.
You said, crime watch as opposed to neighborhood watch.
They call it a crime watch. We would be calling it a community neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay,
So
roll
who
call,
made the
please.
motion and who seconded that?
David.
We made the,
David?
Yeah, and
Second?
the second,
I heard two, so yeah, okay.
Came from there.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano?
No.
Member Di Gregorio?
yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
And it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to remove the deed restriction on block 00202, lot 00003. This was brought up last year. I believe Councilman Di Gregorio as well as Councilman Kim supported it last year for Fifth Street. I think that this has been something that has been going on, and I don't think at this point, by not removing it, let these gentlemen who want to sell the property and let the next owner deal with the added assessment that we have someone, I don't know who authorized the engineer to look at Fifth Street, but $1 million something that they're talking about, that would be added assessment to each individual property. So that's my motion.
Can I ask a question? What engineer did the assessor? Neglia? You did, Six Boswell? He says no. So,
We have
Do we
a
know?
report here.
Yeah, so I have so I sent it to everyone on March 13th.
And who did that?
I sent it.
No, but
Let me
who-
open it up. I don't recall. I'm sorry, I don't recall.
I don't recall either.
So let me see here.
Or is that Hippolyte?
No, it was a recent one that came up that I got, I
Uh,
thought it was a million something.
my personal opinion is, you know,
This is-
why this is just brought tonight and we're going to look at more. Yeah, I don't know, I don't have any confidence.
You don't wanna give them relief.
No, just last month we can do that, we need the time.
Last year, there's a motion, and that's all, you don't have to support it. You're the one who made the issue last year, but you wanna relieve the people on Fifth Street. They're members on Fifth Street. David, you were berating us last year. Why are we not releasing this restriction? I'm making the motion. If you don't wanna support it, don't support it. I'm making the
Uh,
motion, that's all.
I'm gonna to figure out what is the background here, why they have the restriction, because that is, I don't have any idea. That's why I'm asking you about it. Why don't you, I'm not just against about it, but next month, okay?
I explained it before. If you didn't understand it
Okay,
here,
motion
I'll
to
explain it
table.
again. You want me to answer his question, or you don't want me to? There's not even a second, there's not even a second on the floor right now, so you didn't have to make it.
There is a second now.
Is that? But if you wanna hear the answer, Mr. Mayor, I'll gladly repeat it. If you don't, then you don't really wanna hear the answer, so that's fine.
No, I wanted to figure out. That's why I'm talking about it,
I
okay?
think I just explained it.
I'll make a,
Okay,
I'll make a motion to table until, so we have a chance. We have a new borough attorney. We'll table it till next
We
month.
only had it here. Mr. Mensch was here the last time, too.
Okay, well.
Maybe, I don't
let's-
remember.
Yeah, oh, it's a big to do.
I'm only one vote, I'm used to it, so it's
Well,
fine.
there's a table,
I know.
so that takes over.
So the motion.
So we need a second for your table.
There was a motion, there's a second, there would be the motion now is on the motion to table. The yes is to table, a no is to not table.
Okay, go ahead.
Member Kim?
I'm not.
They'll change that, they'll change it to a.
It has to be sooner than you think, sooner than you think.
I'm sorry, only because it was brought up abruptly without any pre-warning. I don't remember everything, I just wanna be careful, so I will.
So can I ask a question?
No.
No.
So I will vote to table it for now, until I refresh my recollection.
Member Simon?
Abstain.
Member Luciano?
Table, no.
Member Di Gregorio?
Table,
Member Began?
yes.
Table.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes to table.
Yes, tabled, okay. Next month, we're gonna to bring it again.
Mazer,
Was the one that you sent out?
Mazer, November of 2022.
We just got it though.
Well, I sent it the 13th because I thought it might have come up, it might come up again.
Okay, next item is a motion and for the payment of claim, I need a motion. Payment of a claim.
Motion, payment of claims, motion. Hold on a second.
Anybody I need a second? Okay, go ahead.
General discussion?
Yeah, okay.
David, your motion is to accept it as
As
his
is?
whole. No. That's his what do you ask?
I didn't make the-
Motion or is he?
What's
I
your motion?
You want a motion to table and make a change?
No, we done already with that, no?
No, payment of claims.
The
The bills.
That's why I sat down here, because I can't hear the other side, you see the people.
Now
so
we
that's
have too
why-
much.
Now,
Yeah,
too
but
much?
now it's good.
Oh, my God. David, you're accepting the bills as they are.
No, I'm not,
Well, then they have to change your motion, then, don't you?
I'm not.
What do you wanna vote?
If you're gonna do anything, include Dasty again, because that would be mine.
Yeah, here we go, got him here.
Well, if you're gonna put anybody, he's the one that's on that.
So how do we, make a modification to the, payment of claims? How, do I make a motion to make a?
Well, if there wasn't a motion and a second
There was.
okay, well then, somebody would have to make a motion to amend the current motion,
So-
or your own motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the current motion of payment of claims.
But identify your modification so that we can understand what you're modifying.
I will get to that once we get through this. Do you want me to? can I-
Yeah, you have to say what it is, yeah.
Okay, say what it is, okay. I'm going by what our borough attorney tells me. I think we need to review some of the attorney's bills. And so I'm not saying not to pay the attorneys, I'm saying that we should pay them a portion. And I'm citing the bills that I've seen from Mr. Wunsch. So I would make a motion to pay him at this point 20%. And then upon his turning over all his records to the borough and all the information to the current attorney, that we then pay him the rest of of the balance.
Mr. Mayor,
Wait a second.
aren't we under a court
What
order
order to pay
Mr.
him?
Wunsch that I know some
So-
council members don't really care about
So-
court orders?
So.
We are
the-
paying him.
Well, so,
All
Read the order.
Hold on, hold on.
So the court order indicates that Mr. Wunsch should be paid up through the date of the order, which I don't remember what it was.
April 1st.
So it's my advice that, unless there are, the judge the order doesn't necessarily say that if the bill was $2 million, then he only did $500,000 of work. It's not, trying to use example numbers, but, but my advice, given the court's order, is that unless there are specific items that you say, I think this entry is too high, or I have a question about that service, in which case you're pulling those items, my advice is, given the court's order, that the matters be paid as is, absent there being a specific concern on a specific item, whatever that be. That said, I can only give my recommendation.
Additional clarification.
Yes, sir.
My understanding that if a council member ignores counsel's advice, they can be personally liable for any, is that true?
Well, it depends on what it depends on what the issues are. Generally the way, there is in a civil lawsuit, let's say, there is an advice of defensive counsel. So that's one of the reasons I get paid for, and I have malpractice insurance and everything else, right? I give you all advice, which you are entitled, as long as it's not blatantly unreasonable, to rely upon. If my advice turns out to be wrong, you have the ability to go back and say, well, my attorney told me I could.
What about the inverse?
And so,
Your advice not to vote on something, and
so-
the council says, you
so
know what? I'm gonna
if-
ignore your advice and I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, then obviously
Then
they
it's
can't,
wrong.
and then obviously, if anything else, I give advice. I think I'm right most of the time. I'm not right all the time. And if there was an issue where the council as a whole ignores my advice, which you're all entitled to do, I give it all the time. But then if there was a challenge over it, obviously, then, whoever is being challenged, or whatever action is being challenged, would have to be, they can't rely upon my advice.
So, this is in a layman's term, the defense of relying on counsel is out the window because they ignored the advice of counsel.
Well, if I gave advice and it was ignored, you can't then say, well, I relied upon the attorney.
Just wanted to hear you say it. Thank you.
But that doesn't mean that, that
It's your
if somebody does something against my recommendation, it doesn't mean there's not other defenses to it. So what I'm trying to say here is there's a court order regarding the payment of Al's bills. My recommendation, again, is that the borough act consistent with that order unless there are specific issues with the bill. In which case, I would feel much more comfortable dealing with any consequences from it. Otherwise, my advice is to pay the bills.
What about our records?
So the records are an entirely, separate issue in the sense of attorneys are obligated to turn over their files.
Right.
This was actually litigated in front of Judge Farrington. She ruled against the borough and was overturned on appeal with regard to her dismissing the case. This goes back a couple years ago with this issue. So attorneys are required to turn over their files. That doesn't necessarily mean every piece of paper in a file. Files are, extensive, especially nowadays with the electronic. It's not the old days where everyone had a red well and you turned it over. So, to the extent that any attorney has files that contain work product that you've paid for, you are entitled to them. You are not necessarily entitled to every piece of paper that may be in an attorney's office with a note or a scrap of paper on it.
I'm a little confused as to what you're referring to as to not turning
Files,
over
files,
records.
there are records, the files that has to do with the town, has information in it that he has to turn it over to us,
So-
in case we need something later
Right.
on, I
But
don't know.
once again,
Why you're confused? What you don't
Because there's
understand?
an order to pay.
I understand.
Okay.
And we need also something, okay? So let's,
I'm
we
asking
pay you
you,
and
okay?
I'm asking you, give me the files, I'll give you the check, no problem, goodbye, good luck.
And
We'll go.
Councilwoman, what I'm asking is,
Yes,
there was an issue raised with Mario Kranjak.
I'm not with Mario Craig, because I don't care
Can
about it.
I say, no, then what records are
I
you?
don't want,
what records
whatever
are
he
you
has that has to
referring
do with 800 Sylvan Avenue, that's what I want those records,
Okay,
that's all.
So how do you know they haven't been turned over to anybody?
I don't know, I'm just asking.
Well, okay.
I'm asking, he
Because
can say, I turned over, he can say
The reason
that.
why I'm saying that is because there
You
was.
know, you're arguing just for the hell of arguing, okay?
that's
We gotta
not true.
move.
That's
Yes, it
not
is. Okay, this is my
Your
opinion.
It's your opinion.
I want the record that he has in an orderly fashion to give to the town, and then we get the check by the order of Judge Ferguson.
You know that.
Very
But
simple.
the order doesn't say anything about turning over records.
Well,
I'm
we are
asking you,
asking for
what
it.
records do you know?
We need,
Oh, we
if I can interrupt, we need all the records from the settlement negotiations.
That's it, we want.
That's what we need.
We
And,
know we need
Right,
stuff.
and so what I'm saying to everybody here is that these are two separate issues.
Yes.
And so, generally, I mean, I may be self-interested, although my bills are not on this bill list because I didn't get them in on time, so I'm not affected by this particular bill list today. I generally advocate for paying professionals, because I believe that everybody who does work in a town should get paid and should get paid timely. Now, you all have the right to not pay bills or raise questions with bills, and that's obviously a part of your responsibilities as council members. In this instance, on top of the normal obligations to pay bills, and if I recall correctly, I don't believe Mr. Wunsch's bills were paid from the month before. So he's, and maybe Mr. Dasty too, are now due 2 months, are now due several months. So, again, without going too much in public, bills that have been held from any professional since the last month's meeting, if there's not been an issue with them, they've now been here for a while, my advice is to pay them. And with regard to this bill, we have a different situation on top of that because we have a court order, which no bills were submitted. Judge Farrington didn't review the bills and say they're reasonable. So that's why I'm saying to everybody, unless you have a specific reason to say the bills are unreasonable, the bills are too high, and there's justification for it, I don't believe otherwise you should not pay the bills. Separately, we have a right, you as a client have a right to demand his files.
I think it's like
And
a
if-
divorce, this is a divorce
What's that?
case.
That's my question. Has there been a demand for?
Right, what I'm saying is I have not.
Okay.
So my point is we're not in a situation where, so,
This is a divorce case.
right,
You just want
Right.
to
One
argue.
second.
You just
No,
want to
so
fight.
there are
for
two
arguing.
different issues.
Two issues.
Stop fighting.
We have the issue of paying,
Correct.
and now we have the issue of producing records.
correct, two different issues. And, sometimes I was trying to pull up real quick here, but sometimes the contrary is true where clients won't turn over their files until you pay them. So what I'm just suggesting, again, is we pay the bills. Unless you have issues, I think you should pay everyone's bills. And we will send a letter to, I'll send an email to Al and say, hey, again, we're entitled to them. And
what are the ramifications if he does not turn over his records? What action can the council take then?
well, like anything else, I mean, the council did this, actually, I think it may have been with Al, but I don't want to say that, a couple of years ago. The council can file a lawsuit, if we got that far, if we got that far. Just because you pay bills also doesn't mean if you have issues with the bills, you can't go back subsequently and bring a normal contract, breach of contract action or any other action that you have that has merit to it, with regard to, the actions of any professionals. So there are, any number of remedies that you have under law.
Mr. Manager, can you please make a demand for all records by every attorney for the past 2 years that have been terminated or have left our service? Make it simple, because I know I've requested Mr. Bernstein's records, got nothing. I've requested
Mr.
Cole
Antonelli's.
Cadwalader's records, got nothing. Now all of a sudden, because you're grasping at straws to not pay because you have personal animus about something, so please, I'll make the motion to pay the payment of claims as submitted.
And I second that, as per Judge Farrington's order.
Was there something on the table?
Well, so right now, what was on the table was, there was originally a motion, there was a motion to pay the bills as is, motion and seconded. You made a motion to amend to pay everything except for, to pay Al's bills 20%. I don't believe there was a second on that.
I second.
But you have
Now
to
there's a
follow
second.
that.
So now I don't know if we can amend the motion to
Oh
amend.
my God.
But so, that's, so,
So take a vote on
so,
that.
so we would,
Another motion.
so right now,
The record's clear, you're going against council's advice. And I'd like it
Right.
on the record.
right,
In the minutes,
And the
please.
judge, and
Right.
Judge Barrington's
so,
order.
Yes.
right now,
Be prepared.
if there is a yes vote on this motion, then all bills would be paid, except for Al's bills would be paid 20% of whatever is on this bill list.
Correct.
That is what is currently being proposed.
Well, I want to, all right, you have this on, but I'm not clear that there's not something else I want to question on this bill list, which is,
Make a motion to table, because the motion's on the table.
okay,
Very well.
okay.
And I want to make also clear that we are not refusing to pay. We're following the orders. We're paying 20%. We are paying and we intend to pay.
Ask our attorney if
But
he
we
follows
need
the
to,
orders.
we need to have a more thorough review, and it could very well be in the next council meeting that there are questions on there. There's work that was out of the scope that we need to look at. So that's my,
How do you know, what
That's-
scope was that?
that is my recommendation, is that we pay 20% now with the full intention that we are going to pay. And that is my motion, and I think we should call the question.
Well, dare I take a vote on the call to question to be procedurally correct?
You seconded that one.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Because you can't cut off discussion without a call of the question.
Okay, well,
So this
So if
is
there's any
to
discussion, the mayor
amend the
should be
motion of
asking
the
this.
bill list
How
to
you doing
pay
there, Laura?
20%, right? I'm confused right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so now,
Motion
now
to
there's a,
amend-
Don't make a change to the minutes, you'll get in trouble.
now there's a, David has made a motion to call the question on the amended motion.
Of the 20% to pay out lunch. Okay, thank you.
There's no second at the moment to call the question.
She seconded.
Okay, so now,
Don't miss-
this motion is just to end discussion, which would then have a second motion on the motion.
I love it.
I'm with you, Glenn, I've got you. So,
That's why you're a mayor.
a yes vote now is to end discussion on this topic.
Okay.
On just
Just
the
this
lunch,
motion, yes.
just that.
This is just
Okay,
on
so
our lunch. Okay.
I want to be clear.
Okay, and who did that? Member Kim?
Yes to end discussion.
Member Simon?
Yes,
Member Luciano?
Sure.
Member Di Gregorio?
yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Okay.
Are the three council members that are conflicted, two council members and the mayor permitted to vote on the not paying Mr. Lunch?
Well, I think they can vote on the bill list.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm just asking a question because procedurally it's going to be in the court record, so I just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
it's on the-
I don't-
it's on the record.
I don't believe that there's anything that would stop them for paying, voting to pay the bill list to the extent that anybody has any criticism over, the borough's decision not to pay Al's bills in their entirety, would have whatever those concerns are.
Your interpretation of the bill list of the order is that they should pay him in full through April 1st.
I have given my opinion.
yeah.
Thank you. I just want the record clear because it's
Sure.
gonna come through.
Can you send him an email requesting all the
Yeah, I will.
records? That's it. By the time we're done, everything will be clear.
Member Kim?
What do we?
So it's,
Now it's the
So
bill,
to
now it's
vote
the
on
whole bill
lest
list.
Al
Yeah.
get paid 80% less of his bill.
Member
that
Kim?
I vote, no.
So you're voting no on the whole bill list then?
Right.
No,
Yeah,
only
bill
for,
Okay.
no. Only
Oh,
for-
yes, the whole bill list, we're voting on the whole bill list?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I vote yes on the whole,
So
paying the
you're
whole
voting
bill
on
list.
paying Al
Oh,
20%?
hold on, yeah, let me be clear. Right now, everybody, a yes vote is to approve the entire bill list,
Okay.
except for 80% of Al's bills.
Okay, so it's.
So if you vote yes,
Yeah, right.
everyone
That's
gets
what I
paid,
thought. That's
plus
what I thought.
Al gets 20.
Right,
Theoretically, you can make a second motion to pay the other 80, but I guess that's not gonna fail, I guess, but, or if you don't know, then the current motion fails, and somebody can make a new motion to vote for the whole bill list, vote for bill list minus other bills.
So this is to accept everything that's on this bill list,
Except-
20%.
Except 80% of Altos.
Or giving him 20%.
Yes.
Member Kim?
No.
Member Simon?
No.
Member Luciano?
No.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Mayor Zutai?
Tie
So
and,
okay, that, all of these can be held liable.
This is a tie for, yes, this is to amend the motion and only pay 20%.
so this is no,
Against
is,
the advice of counsel.
This
Put
is
that in the
aye.
record, too.
Sure.
To
And
pay
the judge's
20%
order.
and the whole
Okay.
bill.
yeah.
You did, yes?
But that's not
That
what
is,
her order reads.
I forgot.
So this is,
Now, I have,
I
see,
forgot
now,
about
we
it.
paid
Sorry,
about
sorry.
so if you,
He's gonna,
Then
Too late now.
Too late,
everybody
voted.
paid.
Well, it's gonna be up to the mayor, we'll see if he splits the time, wants to risk his civil liability.
Come on, stop being dramatic.
that's what this is.
Dramatic is factual.
Oh, good.
So you vote yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't really want to pay gas fee either.
Well, I didn't hear the mayor's vote, can you put it on the record, please?
Yes, the motion to amend the motion of the bill list, which is to pay 20% of bills, was a tie, this was a tie, and Mayor voted yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next.
Okay.
Next, number item 10, right? Consent agenda.
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, 1 second, please. I know that I'm out of order by speaking on this, but I didn't get a chance to ask a question on something on the bill list that I'm gonna ask Mr. Barbario, which I've asked a number of times. What?
That's the finance chair.
Well,
He passed it, he's the one in charge.
well, whoever. I see Boswell submitted $52,000
Does anybody know
for
what
the
that's
park.
for? Any of you that
What
voted
is
for
that
that
for?
bill?
What is that for? What's going on there?
Well,
I keep on hearing that it's done.
So it's the work that they've performed, that they're typically a couple of months behind to prepare the designs, have the meetings with the park committee, and also prepare the bid specification.
This is part of the $140,000
Correct.
budget?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the approval for the 140 plus the 250. The 250 is for contract management or construction management after the park is awarded and a contractor is identified.
So is the majority of this for them attending recreation committee
No, the
meetings?
park committee meetings.
Some of it is, not the majority. The majority is, there's 3 individuals working on plans, 2 individuals, and Bernie working on plans and preparing bid specifications and all of that stuff. And Mr. Matthew and I have already reviewed most of the bid specifications except the meat, which we're waiting for. But that's what it's for.
Okay.
Sorry about it. Okay. Consent agenda. I need a motion for the whole, these items as a one single motion. And
For our bylaws, I'd like to request these are read individually, please.
you want it of the individual?
That's why our bylaws, one council member makes a request, you make the motion, you don't have to make a motion, the bylaws clearly state if the request wants to be done individually, I'd like them to be done individually.
Consent agenda.
Okay, it's in number 10, consent agenda. He wanted about it, any single one.
Star 109.
Yeah, okay, then I'm gonna start at 109. Okay, I need a motion for the 24-109, approve emergency temporary,
There it is. These are salaries.
approve emergency temporary appropriation for the CFO. Oh, CFO gonna to answer for this one?
So Mayor, it's the second part of the
Well-
appropriation. So typically, we start with 26.5% at the beginning of the year. And then in April, we do another portion, so it's another 25%, I believe it is. So that we can continue to pay the salaries and pay the bills and those kinds of things.
Okay, got it. Okay, I need a motion.
Portion of last year's budget.
Okay, I need a motion. Okay, second,
Second.
okay. Roll call, please.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano?
I'm gonna vote present.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 24-1110, appointment of DPW laborer Daniel Mastestic.
Fantastic.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
Who interviewed this individual? I've seen the, I see on the application and the paperwork that I've been submitted, but I don't see any notes about the interview. There's a sheet on there that has been provided for an interview, and there's nothing in the interview section of, but there was an interview that took place. Because none of them had anything to do with that recorded an interview. But even though the paperwork that's in there says that there's an interview taking place and what the results are of the interview. Okay, this gentleman does have a CDL.
Okay, roll call, please.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano?
Yes.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Thank you. And the 24-111, appointment of park attendant and DPW laborer Timothy Ose.
Motion.
Okay, second.
Before you do the motion, it's my understanding, first off, I don't know of any position in the DPW, and being part of the Public Works, that we have a position for a park attendant.
This is for the.
What is, for the future, so we're gonna hire someone now for the park.
Yeah, okay, you can answer it. Okay, he can answer for you.
Can I finish my question, or you know what I'm gonna, if you know what I'm gonna ask, then you go ahead.
Okay, finish, please.
That's all right, you already know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He's gonna answer for you. He's gonna to answer for you.
Mayor, I can answer the first part of Councilman Luciano's question, and the park attendant is my word. There is no title, there is no job. It would just be a responsibility that I envision this individual who will be a DPW laborer, hired as a DPW laborer, paid as a DPW laborer. But park attendant is my word. It's basically having someone at the park now and also after renovations, similar to what I've been told, I don't know Jimmy's last name, I can't remember. Billington, right? And similar to those kinds of conditions where there was someone dedicated, responsible, but can do other work, snow work, recycling work, pothole, all those other things. But the
But
park
not
attendant,
necessarily Timmy O'Shea.
so not necessarily park attendant only.
Okay, but now we're making a suggestion, a recommendation, which I'm part of the Public Works Committee, I don't know, and maybe there wasn't, maybe David had it, but I know he had one with the mechanic the other day, but, that unfortunately I worked during the day and couldn't attend. But, so it's my understanding that this gentleman applied for a position years ago. He was denied because he was informed that the position, he didn't get it because he didn't have a seat. Now, in all the years that he hasn't gotten the position, he's done nothing to get a CDL. He has no experience with the DPW, and he's been an IT person his whole life.
That's
So
what
I'm
his
just trying to
resume
understand
says.
from you, Mr. Mark, and I apologize, I'm drawing
Is that
a total-
true?
So he
total
doesn't
blank.
have
I
a
looked at his
CDL,
resume.
and he would be required to get it within 6 months during his
Everybody
probation
else.
period.
Well, I think you
But
should
that
get
doesn't
it
have-
then.
Everybody
IT.
else.
But doesn't that
What?
look,
Everybody else who they hired, they got 6 months to get their license.
well, Matesic already has a CDL.
Some of them do, some of them
He
don't.
doesn't.
That's what I understand.
Daniel does not have, Daniel will also be provided 6 months, he
Right.
doesn't have a
On his-
CDL.
on-
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
he
that
doesn't
either.
have one.
Well, he indicated on his paperwork that he submitted that he has a CDL.
No, you confirmed that he doesn't have a CDL.
Okay.
And we talked about him getting
It's unbelievable.
6 months to get a CDL.
Okay.
So then, it is advantageous for us to have a laborer who has some basic understanding of IT, because the new park renovation is going to be computerized lighting, it's gonna be computerized scoreboard, and there's gonna be other additions that I'm hoping that the individual who's responsible for the park can benefit Mark's department.
Okay, I need a second.
Just
Second.
Okay,
Second.
roll call, please.
Member Kim?
And political
Yes.
appointee.
Member Simon?
Come back to me.
Member Luciano?
Come back to me, Joe, I'm looking to find it.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Member Matesic,
Yeah.
CDL, commercial license, I totally
Yeah,
stand
it's okay.
corrected.
That's right.
I was looking at the line for license.
It was a big deal to
So,
us.
Once
He'll
again,
have
I
6
don't
months.
understand how we're hiring anybody.
Tim will have 6 months as well.
DPW, we're not a CDL.
We're gonna give people a chance as a laborer to get their CDL and, give them
What
the help that they need.
contingency if they don't get it within the
Probation, they
But I
fail
know we have
probation.
council members that always said we want to get the best for our money, and now it seems like we're hiring an IT person who's politically connected, who's had the opportunity to be hired years ago and never got a CDL. It just seems kind of crazy to me.
Member Luciano?
I'm present.
One, two.
Where do you?
We're at the.
It
Okay,
passes.
okay, passes, okay. No, 112.
I thought we.
No, now we're gonna start 112, appointment of grant writers, Millennium Strategies.
I make a
I need a
motion.
motion, I need a second,
Grant writing.
second, I
Did
need
we
a,
even take a vote for the 111?
yeah. I need a second.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, motion.
Yeah, motion.
Yeah, you. I think
Motion
you guys
for
voted.
112.
I think.
Motion for 112.
Second.
Roll call, please.
But wait, discussion.
We discussed that.
But wait, and once again, I wanna make sure and be clear that you're fine with paying someone $150, you made the motion, you made the second, $150 an hour for not knowing if they're even gonna.
That's
get
only
it
if we
back.
tell them.
Okay.
It's only if we tell them.
If they
Only we
pay the
ask them.
work,
We
they're
can,
gonna be paid.
no,
That's all. I'm
no,
fine.
we can,
Don't have to say anything
it-
else. Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, it's $400. We get all of them in. If we can fill it out ourselves, we do that. If we want them to do it, we ask for their help.
So if they find
Correct.
grants for us, we're not paying anything.
So, can I?
Correct.
We're
You write them ourselves, we're just paying 400.
Jerry,
I just wanna be clear, that's all.
but one moment. Gottheimer seems to have access to an enormous amount of grants.
And the mayor forwards me all of the information.
Well,
that we
he
have.
sends it, I don't know, I get stuff from him all the time.
Yeah, we do receive that stuff.
Would that be, an avenue you would choose to pursue?
Yeah, but Congressman Gottheimer's, some of Congressman Gottheimer's grant opportunities are typically promoted and managed by his office, so there's a better chance for us to get those. So I would
Absolutely,
pursue
and you
those
don't
all
have
the
to pay
time.
for them.
But then there's a lot of other NJDOT, NJDEP that I don't have access to, that the $400 per month would provide us an alert of which ones are out there and which ones we can get.
Good. Okay, so motion on the, I made a
yeah,
motion, was it
Who
second?
seconded that?
Second by,
Philip.
Philip
Zeke.
Liang, Councilman Liang.
Roll
Member
call,
Kim?
please.
Yes.
Member Simon?
No.
Member Luciano?
No.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Bayets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 24-11.
Just a question about that. How long is this, 1 year? You committed to 1 year, or you can drop out?
We could drop out with 30 days notice, but it's a one-year agreement.
That's okay.
Okay, 113, authorize the purchase of signs.
What kind of signs?
These would be, yeah, was there pictures? Yes, they're welcome to Englewood Cliffs, simple signs that would be put on each entrance of the town.
I need a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call, please.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Luciano? Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Bayets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, thank you. Number 11, motion and the second for the introduction of the 24-03 amendment to the noise ordinance. I need a motion.
Motion?
I need a second. No, that is first reading. This is second reading.
Oh, this is the first reading.
Introduction then, it's labeled as introduction.
We did
a
it.
change
That's
from
what I'm
last
No, there was a change. Jerry, you want to explain what,
It's an
yes?
introduction.
We did it last month or the,
Mayor, last
what
time,
is it?
last time it was presented with a time frame of 10 PM to 8 AM.
uh-huh.
And then the council had a discussion about eliminating the time frame. I think Councilman Luciano brought it up. Forget about the time frame. There's no outside amplified music or sound at any time. And so that would be what we're introducing tonight.
Are we introducing?
Introducing.
So
So,
this is the first reading?
Yes.
okay, first reading?
First
Okay.
reading.
Correct.
How come you put on here second for introduction?
I don't have second, I have introduction, that's why I'm saying.
No.
So motion and the second for introduction. So that's why I'm,
So you need a motion and then you need a second to introduce. You
Yeah,
need a
yeah.
motion and a second and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
do the roll call.
I need a motion.
Motion,
That's opining.
No, a comment, I'll save it to the end. It's not directly related.
Who's, okay.
motion to move 24-03.
Yes.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano?
You want the noise? You want the noise?
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, thank you. Next item 24-05, an ordinance providing for the implementation of the value improvement program. I need a motion.
Motion,
Okay, roll call please.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
What are we voting on now?
2405.
24-05.
Speed pass right now, we're not even gonna go to discussion with that.
What is it, where are we?
2405.
In the middle of a roll call.
Member Luciano? Member Di Gregorio?
yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Okay.
Done? Okay, thank you. I want to move 24-06,
Motion,
sewer connection fees. I need a motion.
motion second.
I need the roll
Are we
call.
on the sewer connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
Yes.
And
Second?
We got a second already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Member
I've
Kim?
been sitting here, I'm
Yes.
still on here.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano? Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begats? Member Liang?
Yeah.
It passes.
We finish this all three. And then we just select this. Hold on just a second, I'm gonna finish about it. He's gonna to
The mayor was asking me about the ordinance on the, that was proposed on the 5-year tax exemption abatement ordinance. This was one that was proposed and I don't remember if it was officially tabled or it wasn't. Right. So the mayor would like to consider that again. The
I vote to table it.
yeah.
The ordinance is there.
Is that-
Just change the name, value improvement program.
Oh, okay,
We already-
that's, so,
Yeah,
so.
we already voted. It's done.
So the ordinance providing for the implementation of value improvement program is the same tax abatement program that we're talking about.
RC?
Better name.
That was very misleading
That
for
was
me.
very misleading.
Right, I did not understand that. I'm with you.
And you know
That's why
what?
we're rushing through the meeting.
I'm not in favor of that, Matt.
Right.
Is there
So-
any remedy that I?
Yeah, I think, you know, given that it's not, no, I think it's understood. So to make sure everyone's clear, because I don't think everyone was. 2405, which is, the title reads, an ordinance providing for the implementation of value improvement program. Okay?
Okay.
That is the, retitled, but that is the program that was discussed at the last meeting, which we had an ordinance on, which was for the 5-year, essentially, reduction in taxes on the improvements of commercial properties, when you improve them. So you don't pay reduced taxes on the increased value, for a 5-year period. So that is what that is. I believe, Mayor, that there was a motion and a second and a vote, but I believe that there was a legitimate clarification. So I believe if any member of this governing body wants to change their vote, now understanding fully what it is, I think the record can reflect the changed vote. And I think that's fine. So, yes, so.
I would like to change my vote.
Right, so Laura, make sure that the record reflects on that ordinance that Councilwoman Simon should look as a, right,
Potential litigation that we might have, I think giving anybody any kind of tax abatement represents a problem for me.
And I voted president, I'm gonna change my vote
To no.
I'll read all the names. Member
I
Kim,
didn't have a clue as to what it was.
And I tried to
Kim?
find.
Okay,
Yes.
keeping as yes.
I'm keeping it as.
Yeah, you could just call the roll again, Laura, that's
Member
fine.
Simon,
It was,
Calling the roll again, you gotta vote.
I understand, I'm just trying to figure, I voted yes, so I'm voting no now.
okay.
if he wants to do that, he
I
can.
have trepidation about this.
Member
And it
Luciano,
has long-term effects.
I'm still voting no. I thought it was very sneaky.
Member Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Member Begets,
Yes.
Member Liang. Yes. Still passes.
Yeah, okay, pass.
Mayor, may I now?
Okay, one more thing, he gonna finish one more thing.
Sure. A councilman asked me about whether or not there was a desire to reconsider the last meeting's vote with regard to the Duffy OAL matter. So I don't know. One of the council members asked me about wanting to consider re-voting on that matter to the vote last month was to dismiss the OAL matter. So a councilman has asked about re-voting on that to undismiss it. So, so if the council, if the council as a whole, if there's a desire to re-vote on that, no action has been taken at this point, other than it's public, that was done. If the council wants to have a further discussion on it in closed session, we can do that. At that point, I would suggest we do the rest of our agenda and go to closed session and come back on that topic. But I was asked to,
I'd like to know who is the council person.
Well, that's why I think we need to
that
go into
requested
close.
this. No, that's a public thing.
Okay.
That's not something that should be
So
done
then
in the
let's
back
talk it,
room
let's
and
take it
say,
to closed
"Councilman
session
wants
after
that."
we pass the tree ordinance, please.
so that's what I'm saying, yeah, so if there's, I'm not going to answer. If whoever council person wants to discuss it, they can do that. And the, so we can certainly,
Who, me? No, it's not me.
right, so,
It's not me.
all right. Again,
Well, that doesn't change the
If-
vote.
if we want to reconsider that, we can. If we want to talk about it in closed session, we can. But obviously, there need to be a motion. and a
Okay,
second.
let's go to the closed session, okay? So just pass.
We're doing the tree ordinance first.
I think we're gonna do the tree ordinance first. And then I think we would do any other business that remains to be done. And then the only thing we'll have left would be to go into closed session if necessary to talk about this issue. And then we can come out and vote and or close.
I vote to move, what do you want?
I'm ready to be recognized for the past 15
I'm
minutes.
sorry, I wanted to do the tree ordinance.
Let's do everything in
Motion on the tree ordinance,
Yeah, I need a second, okay.
motion on the tree ordinance.
Okay, motion on the,
Second,
Do you have a
yeah.
second, Z?
Philip is
Philip
second.
did it,
Yes.
okay.
Member Kim,
Yes.
Member Simon,
Yes.
Member Luciano, Member Di Gregorio, Member Di Gregorio,
Okay. You need it.
Member Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Member Begets,
No.
Member Liang.
Tree removal ordinance, you said no?
That's correct.
On the tree ordinance?
Oh, the tree?
Yeah.
Too late.
No,
Too late.
no, tree. You don't have a choice, it's mandatory.
Public comment?
Yeah.
You gotta wait.
Member Liang.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Guys, this does not work if we have 7 people talking at the same time,
Right.
plus the public, plus the professionals. All right? I swear it to everybody, it will go quicker if one person talks at a time. So with regard to the motion that we just had, I'm going to assume that was a motion to open to the public because it's a final action ordinance, which requires a separate open to the public. So I believe that was what was just taken. Everybody was in favor of it. Great.
Yep.
Now we can open to the public
Only on this topic.
on this
Yeah,
topic
okay.
only, the tree removal and replacement ordinance. So if any member of the public has comments on this matter, they can do that.
Seeing nobody online and nobody in the audience, I make a motion to close to the public.
Second?
Okay.
And you can do all in favor on motion to close to the public.
Yes.
Aye.
And then we would need a final action on that.
We'll make a motion to adopt 24-04.
Again, adoption of ordinance, okay, okay.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay. Any, no
Yeah,
discussion,
this is
right?
the
Okay.
tree
Member
removal.
Kim?
Yes.
Member Simon?
Yes.
Member Luciano? Oh, he's out, okay. Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Member Luciano?
Okay,
Okay, we need a
Yeah.
vote for
Member Luciano?
tree ordinance.
Are you voting for the three ordinance?
we open to the public?
Yes.
Yes,
We did that.
Yes,
Yes.
Sure, I'm still voting yes.
okay.
I would like to make a motion to amend the Affordable Housing Committee to include, include the following. This would be a affordable housing, am I terming that correctly, of affordable housing? I guess that, or
Yeah.
this is for, basically, the reason is to make sure that we're compliant. It's almost like a task force, that we're compliant with the new orders coming from the state, and that we are proactive in avoiding any of the consequences that could happen if we're not compliant. So my motion would be then to include the following people on this committee. And if I didn't ask you in advance, my apologies. Chris Kim would be Rivka, myself, we would like to put Karen Geiger, Tim Katrubis, and who am I missing here? I'm missing one person.
planning board chair.
Russ Perino.
Now, let me understand, Councilman. Last year, you griped and moaned that we had an affordable council committee that only consisted of council members. Now we're going back to creating an affordable housing committee that includes the public, which we had with the year before with Tad Waller, that now opens up all the communications to be operable.
Well,
I think, why don't you just stay with your, because you flip-flop. It's amazing what two-faced that you really are.
Stop
Because
it. Good to the
because
point.
the amount, because as you didn't want, why don't we have the council as a whole as the Affordable Housing Committee? Like we had, that you wanted, that you demanded last year. Now, not only do you want to add people that we fought about, you and I fought about with them the year before.
yes,
And so you're okay with now
Yes.
Karen Geiger and Tim Katrubis
yes.
and Russ Perino to be on it, so now everything, every communication that you have,
All the
that
confidential
will say,
material.
We'll
Tim
have-
Katrubis is in an Oprah lawsuit right now.
We'll-
Go to court tomorrow.
You wanna be involving public in our affordable housing issues. It's remarkable to me. And it shows your two.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I will,
And
okay,
I,
I will add on here one comment why the planning board chair, I'm gonna bring in here. Because we need a lot of, no, just listen about it. Now, the final decision done by here, our council member, but, strategy wise, we need, professional advice. That's why we put on his, also we have to hire about, we already have the plan, right?
Seriously,
We have the plan already, so we have to, ask him.
with all due respect, how much do you really know about affordable housing?
that's why we have the committee members
Yeah,
that
but
were chosen.
How about the other three that are on, that you're putting on, that are actually just residents of the town?
Yeah, we will bring the professional and we will hearing and we will make a decision, okay?
So,
Do that,
Wow.
and it's up, Tim's up for perjury tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, he
we're
is.
gonna
I
see,
know.
and you are going to see, okay, that once again, because you were involved with this as well, with the Affordable Housing Committee that included civilians and Cadwalader, and so we're gonna say, I think it's disgraceful, it's disingenuous, and it's definitely two-faced, that now all of a sudden, you can laugh all you want, because last year, Mr. Di Gregorio ranted and raved about of the council having an affordable housing committee, and now we're gonna open it up with civilians. Just speaking my mind, so take your vote.
Okay,
Okay,
just
well,
go ahead, roll call, please.
Have a second for that.
Oh, it did.
Motion?
Somebody else second it.
Member Kim?
Abstain.
Member Simon?
No.
Member Luciano?
Absolutely not.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, thank you. And,
Mark,
Is there any possibility we can be?
yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
can I make a resolution?
Okay.
In light of the fact that this is what you just did, and that there is someone that is very well versed in affordable housing, is gonna raise eyebrows, but I am going to make a motion to rehire Mr. Al.
Motion to table, motion to table, motion to table.
Hurry up, somebody
Second.
get a second
You can't
for
table it until there's a second procedure.
Okay, well,
Then you do that, and then we'll see about how that.
let's see if you get a
goes.
second.
Because we're gonna be before Barrington tomorrow anyway, so it doesn't matter. So,
Have a second?
and clarify the motion that we're gonna hire Al for all affordable housing issues, 800, 910, 920.
Chiaffi.
Chiaffi and Michaels, until the project has been completed. That's the motion, that's my second.
He's the one that
If you
has
wanna
all
make
the
table,
information,
I
and then
wish
you'll
you
get
all
everything
one
that you
now.
want.
I ask Mr. Mensch
wanna see
again,
how
to
far
please
it's a
advise the council what your legal opinion
Yeah,
is.
so on this issue, my legal opinion is twofold. One, I'm not sure, and I'll be honest with you, I looked, I didn't find a clear answer, but I'm not sure that the council has the ability to hire any professionals that don't flow first from the mayor. Normally, like when the borough attorney gets hired, the mayor makes a nomination, the council votes, and it's 30 days. After 30 days, correct. So in this instance, there's no statutory position for Affordable Housing Council, Labor Council, things like that. But as I said, I don't know that that's, in most instances, that's where it flows from. So I'm not sure it's valid anyway, but I do believe that Judge Farrington's order is not intended to say that, that the same order can be used to weaponize to rehire Mr. Wunsch, and I would advise the council to make a motion to table, and if necessary, then, you know, the matter can go back in front of the judge, and that's what I would advise to do.
Just to be clear, your
No,
advice is that
it's
they can
okay for
vote
them
on the
to
table.
vote.
My advice is to table.
Okay.
Motion to, well, motion to table.
Yeah, okay, I
Motion
need
to
a second.
table. Can we take a second?
Okay.
Okay, Member Kim?
Abstain.
Member Simon?
No to table.
Member Luciano?
No.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes to table.
Member Begets?
You don't need to vote, Councilwoman. No, he does, you do. I'm sorry, I apologize. Vote the table.
Good
Vote
try.
the table.
That's a good
Member
try.
You know.
Try to save their asses, but ain't gonna work.
Yes to table? Yes. Member Liang?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, pass, okay.
I have
Okay,
another
thank you.
motion.
Oh, you have another motion?
Yes. Well, we don't get a chance to really interact until the day of the meeting, which is for,
No, we did this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a-
Motion to go into closed session.
no, wait, just
Too
one
bad.
second.
He just, you're not the mayor. He just
Yeah, okay, I
Oh, I'm
recognize,
so
okay,
sorry. My
okay, go ahead.
apologies. My apologies.
In light
Okay.
of the fact that we have all of these Oprah requests, and I know that Mr. Munch has a full plate, I think that we need to hire an Oprah lawyer to just lighten Dave Gonzalez's load, Laura's load, and so that people I get calls from residents that they are not getting responses in due time. And in light of that, I'm going to recommend, because she is quite good at what her job is, to hire Irene Asbury for that position.
And I'll second it.
Okay, give me 1 second here, let me, okay.
So they're
very good.
hiring Irene
She's
to
brought a
just
lot of
handle
stuff to light.
all of the, all Oprah
Not all
matters.
good.
So when people
She's-
request records
she's
and there's a
fired.
question over, are they supposed to be produced or reviewed?
There's a motion and a second.
So the.
Roll call, discussion on this.
We did this one?
He's having a discussion.
I see.
Understand what is going on. That's all, I hope I'll never recognize, so I'll add my.
Okay,
In a second on the floor, Mr. Mayor.
okay, just a second, I just got story, but I'm not ready. I have to think about it.
There's a motion in a second on the floor. I don't think it calls for whether you're ready or not.
Is there more discussion here? I think we have, don't we have, other attorneys that can handle? Like, we have Jacoby, we have,
He's a labor lawyer.
his firm is rather large and they handle a lot of municipal
But you
business.
already have her on board and she's familiar with all of the issues that are.
I would feel, I don't know why we need to hire an additional attorney. I think that we have.
She's already hired.
Well, I think we table, motion to table.
You do tell him, that's part of the problem, that he listens to you instead of doing what's right.
I have excellent unpaid advisors, Mr. Luciano. Thank you.
I have excellent unpaid.
All the cohorts.
Excellent.
I have excellent.
Unpaid.
At least I
Yes.
use my brain, unlike you.
Okay, so where are we here?
There's a motion.
Motion to table.
But there's still, there's still discussion, not with the council.
I just want to table it and we're going to think about it.
The mayor was asking, you made a motion to table?
Yes.
It's like you guys are all in cahoots here.
What's going on?
Requesting.
There's a
There's a
motion and
motion,
a second.
there's a motion, a second to table.
For requesting a trespass warrant, like you shouldn't be able.
Where are we?
So there was a motion to table, I don't know if there was a second.
There's not, but I'm sure there'll be.
No, there was a, did you
Come on,
second?
Leon, you can
Come on.
second.
Did you second
Okay, there's no motion, so please call.
the motion to table?
Call the roll.
Let's
Member Kim?
So right now,
Let's-
the motion and the second was to hire Irene Asbury to do Oprah work, to help with Oprah responses, Oprah review, etc. David made a motion to table. I don't believe there's been a second.
Reeling is in, which ones wanna do it? Come on.
Come on, one.
So,
Looking for one.
so, if there's a second, so
So there's a second to table.
now the motion, the roll call would be to table, yes to table. If you vote yes, it's to table the motion. If you vote no, it's to not table, and then there'd be a motion to hire.
Not hire, it's to table the hiring of Irene
Right.
to help us with the thousands and hundreds.
Okay, we will think about it, okay, 1 month later on, okay? 1 month later on, we will, think again, so, at this moment, I'm not sure about it, that's why my, no, this case, it's tabling, and we have to think again.
We have to think again, because we don't have all.
Wait until you see.
You know what? I may make a motion, an additional motion, if things don't calm down yet.
Just make it page one, I got a few myself.
Member Kim?
Not to table.
No, not to table?
Okay.
One second.
So just be clear, that was a no.
To table.
No.
You said yes,
no,
sorry,
yeah.
no, motion is no.
Member Simon?
It's a no, not to table.
No table.
Member Luciano? Member Di Gregorio?
Yes to table.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Liang?
Yes.
It's a time, Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, 30 minutes later, can I be recognized now, please?
Okay.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'll try to make it quick, because I know it's getting late. I've been having serious problems with getting information from the business administrator, thinking that it should come from the council. For whatever reason, the council not sharing, I'm hearing that Ms. Begats, Councilwoman Begats is saying that the VA has everything. So I'd like to make a motion that any information, because once again, I have to make an Oprah request to discover in an email that the VA does minutes or did minutes for the Recreation Committee or the park committee and sends it out to people, even though I've asked for it, and doesn't feel that it should be sent to me. So I make a motion that any information that's passed on to the
What
VA,
minutes does
or-
he
I
have?
don't have minutes of the park committee.
you didn't do minutes?
Nope, never did.
No, he's not doing minutes of committees.
I attend meetings,
Well, okay,
but I
so,
don't do minutes.
okay, once again, I'm gonna make a motion that any information that is passed on to either the borough clerk or the borough administrator, what has
That's
to do, you can laugh all you
too much
want because-
burden.
Excuse me?
Too much burden.
Too much burden?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean for all the council members to be
To know- to be
informed
on the same
is too
page.
much burden. That's why these meetings go so long, because you know what? We don't get information between meetings. So my request, and you can vote it down. If you don't feel that it's important for us to have meeting, the minutes or notices, or when meetings are, then tell your cohorts
Why do
to
you
not vote
have
for
to
it.
know when
So-
meetings are if you're not part of them? Can you tell me why?
Why?
Because we're elected
I've heard that there was many meetings.
We have a committee,
But you'll get information.
committee meeting.
Day and when you hold
But
meetings.
we're not prepared when you give it to
Right,
us.
oh, so you're
Oh,
gonna tell
I'm
us
sorry,
what?
you're not prepared.
Oh,
really?
how do you-
I have to give you the time to be
David
prepared.
bitched and moaned
But
last
don't
year about how he
you
wasn't
know
getting
what?
any
I
information
don't
from
know,
the meeting,
people
so.
You
are
know what?
recording.
You sit here.
My
We're
motion.
5 committees and you're doing
Then vote no
nothing.
for it.
Nothing you do.
Okay,
I'm
let-
not on any committees, what am I supposed to do?
Okay,
But you cannot deal with no one.
okay, let's vote.
Motion to go into closed session.
Is to have, I have the floor so you can really kick rocks. My motion is for that if there's any information that is passed on to the borough clerk or the borough administrator, to please, all it takes is if you're sending an email to you and you and you, to add 3 more names.
We're
You're
not-
saying it's such a burden.
That's not
I don't
true.
think it's very much a burden to add the rest of the council to say here. You know what I mean? And I don't wanna hear about OPMA, okay? Because as Mr. Mensch said previously, as long as we're not taking votes on something and it's just informative, it takes one click of the mouse to say Luciano, Simon, Kim. It takes about 4.5 seconds. And all I'm asking is respectfully that, you know what? We're entitled to information. I shouldn't have to make Oprah requests to find out what's going on in the town and that there's emails going back and forth between people and not being included. So I tried to keep it, but you guys wanted to go off on a tangent.
So I'll
that's my
second that motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
Just
What
looking
was the
for,
terms of the motion? I'm sorry.
we're just asking for
All I'm asking
information.
is that, you know what, if Councilwoman McGath sends an email to Mr. Barbario, and it has to do with information that the councils, the last thing I said to Mr. Barbario, you know what Mr. Barbario said back? This is something that the committee chairs should be sharing.
I still stand
Okay,
by that.
and all I'm saying is I wanna make sure that if the borough clerk or the borough administrator get information that should be shared, and I don't think it's up to them to decide what should and shouldn't be shared, but if they get information, like David requesting a street light on his block, okay? Like David requesting for them to do an analysis by our engineer to do cobblestone all down, but, you know, Belgian block down Floyd Street. That's something that we shouldn't have to find out the night of the meeting or through Oprah. That's ridiculous. So
What-
that's what I think that we are all elected officials are entitled to like you complained about last year, that was 100% false, 100% a lie.
Okay,
that you-
more than enough. Okay, let's vote.
And we're getting information.
Okay,
We
roll call,
have it
please.
all.
Okay, more than enough.
There's a motion and a second roll
And there's a
call.
roll call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Member Kim? Member Simon?
Yes,
Member Luciano?
Absolutely.
just asking for, to
Just
be
asking for
informed.
information, that's it.
Member Di Gregorio?
It has to be clear.
Oh, no, because I'm saying you gotta think that. Spite yourself.
If you were relaxed and calm, and if your motives were on behalf of the community, instead of on behalf of yourself, narrow on behalf of yourself, you would find, what have you done? What have you done positive? I can't solve it, but my vote is absolutely no. Participate in a respectful way. I have a resolution right here. Resolution to censure Councilman Glenn Luciano.
Make the motion after.
And I am not gonna make the motion. I am not gonna make the motion, but no.
Need a vote.
But let me just say one thing very quickly.
Guys, we really should not be, we should not be having debate during a roll call.
Individual vote of the roll call, yes.
Staying present. I know, I'm with you,
Member
Glenn.
Please.
Katz?
No.
Member Liang?
Okay. And then a lot of,
Information.
Yes.
okay,
More like this, because you make a
okay,
big
the
thing
last
out of
one
it.
is,
Well, because you're
Closed
not
session?
sitting here.
Yeah, so,
okay, we need a
I hear.
motion to close session,
Motion to close,
the closed session.
to go into closed session.
Councilman Luciano, how's that?
What? What? I lost it. Okay, let's go.
There's a motion to go
Yeah.
close.
Yes.
Is there a
Motion.
second?
Yes, second. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Okay, let's go. Adjourn. Okay,
Motion to return to open. You signed it.
Second.
open and, okay, all in favor? All in favor and.
Yes, to open
Okay,
and second to adjourn, yes.
adjourn.
I made the motion.
I let them know that.
David made the second to come out of close. I'm making a motion to adjourn.
And I'm
David
gonna
made
say,
the motion. David already made the motion, or I'd kick him right out the door. To
To
If anyone
adjourn.
wants to say
adjourn. Well, you can do that
All in
next one.
favor and,
Karen,
okay, let's go.
Good night, everybody. It's been fun and it's been real, so that makes it real fun. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, I look forward to next month.
Thank you.
It'll be even